Hmm. Are we live? Hmm. Where? So, how you doing, Joe?
I can hear you, Sean.
I can hear you too. Is he alive?
Let's go to chat.
Hi, Joe. Welcome back. Welcome back, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
What
live.
happened?
We're
What?
live, dude.
Well, welcome back to the living, my friend.
What the bleep is going on here?
You hit live 4 minutes ago.
What the hell is going on?
You
That was
said here.
all right. Let's see.
He said, "There's the Sandman in the queue," and that was all she wrote. It was like you were under some kind of spell
Somebody didn't
from
want us to
Michelle.
hear. Somebody didn't want us to listen to Sandman. I guess I'll have to edit that out. Well, that bites people.
Yeah, it does.
Anyway, welcome everyone. Sorry about that. That's a little bit odd, but a little bit weird. But I guess shit happens sometimes. Well, we'll play it later in the show. It's somewhere up there. Oh, I think what's queued up next is Johnny Cash. But that's for later on in the show. Anyway, guys, welcome to News on the Flipside. Very strange happenings already out the box. Maybe it's got something to do with them Miami UFO people. Yeah, no, man. I hear they're coming for Sean, especially. Oh wait, we have two Seans. I don't know. They're coming for one of you,
I'm
Seans.
Jack. I'm Jack.
That's right. So they're coming for Sean Jackson. Jackson, I'm good, man. Sold your ass right down the river, man. Christopher, we're going to talk about Putin wanting to nuke everybody. I mean, how much of it is bravado? How much of it is real? I have no idea. He's just first Kim Jong Un. So we're going to nuke South Korea and we're going to kill America. Really? Well, first, what he's got one nuke, and this damn thing actually going to go anywhere? I mean, we got
seriously.
I'm not so
No,
much.
he's got more than that. He's got more than that. But it's probably, you could count him on two hands.
Yeah. So and we're going to shoot all of them down. So I'm not too much worried about those, but. It's as far as Russia goes, I mean, Russia knows as well as anybody else does if Russia launches a nuke against any of our sovereign territories, that's World War III, because we're just going to say, what the bleep, and start nuking people all over the place. And Joe Biden, I mean, literally, I mean, this could be Joe Biden. Sir, we need to see about nuking. He just falls asleep on a red button, and, there goes half the planet. It's, well, I mean, really, people, I mean, this is a dangerous shitting game with someone like Joe Biden behind the wheel. Defending the world. I mean, is this the guy y'all want defending the world, really? Because I'd scare the shit out of me.
You see what his Secretary of Defense did?
No, God, no. What did he? That scares me to even ask.
There was no one in charge of the DOD for several days at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, 3 days. 3 days.
Oh,
he was in the hospital. Yep. Even the White House didn't know about that one.
And then the number 2, Hicks, was in Puerto Rico on vacation, had no idea because not her fault, she wasn't informed that this clown was in the hospital out of commission. No one in charge of the DOD for 3 days.
He didn't want to give up that power. Well, if anything would have happened, all shit would have hit the fan. You see, these days, the government is just a joke. I mean, when you look what's going on, you're like, okay, this is going to happen. No, nothing ever happens. And it's not about can I help the American citizens anymore. It's about can I get reelected, and how am I going to get reelected, and who do I have to smear to get reelected? I mean, all of this shit has gotten ridiculous. All these cases against Donald Trump. So if you're a normal, everyday American, if you're an independent, a Republican, even a libertarian, even some Democrats, when you heard about all these charges against Trump, the first thing you thought was, really, this is all about the election. It's not about anything else but the election, because when you get right down to it, I think 88% of the charges against him are only about money. It means he can't even go to jail at all. And the other ones he probably wouldn't go to jail for anyway, because he was ex-president of the United States. Then we've got the appeal process, which, of course, the Democrats know the appeals are going to happen. And more than likely he's going to get the appeals. But the appeals won't actually go through court until after the election. If Trump wins the election, there is no appeals, because you can't prosecute a sitting president. And by the time the 4 years is up, there won't be anything you can do. The charges will all be gone. Or he could just, just let himself off because he's president of the United States. It's one of these things that you can't really win about. If you're for Donald Trump, this is probably a fantasy for most people who are going after Donald Trump. If you're a Joe Biden fan, you're probably crying in your coffee somewhere. Because Joe Biden fans hold some hope, like, this is CNN, we have a poll. Joe Biden, Donald Trump, did he? Okay, where's Kennedy? Oh, wait, did y'all forget Kennedy? Oh, shit.
He's right.
Right, now Joe Biden's 36%, and Trump's just blowing him out. So people.
Well, just put more ballots. Just put more ballots. That's all you got to do.
Yeah. So
Kennedy, they just imported 9 million voters, right? Because no voter ID, no problem. No ID, no problem.
And a lot of them said they ain't going to vote Democrats. So they might be in voting Republican.
Did they really, Joe? Did they say that?
They were down at the one of the big lockups down in Texas, and they got about, I think, 10,000 people there. And they talked to over 1,000 people. And a good 80% said, "We're not voting for Joe Biden. Joe Biden evil." I don't know if the people down there working the facilities are saying that, or if they're hearing that before they cross the border. What the hell's going on? I know that the president of Mexico does not like. So he didn't like Trump, and now he's like, "Shit, I wish I had Trump back. This guy's an idiot." But because he wants to
but it's not even that Biden's an idiot. It's whoever his handlers are.
Yeah,
they're idiots.
That's true. That's really true, because in the beginning they said it was Obama and Jill. Jill Biden, whoever wrote that just now. Jill Biden what's Jill Biden, the president's wife. Mm-hmm. They said it was her and Obama. Okay, well, we all know Obama sucked when it came to the economy, and he sucked at fighting wars. So maybe so. But then you've got Joe Biden, who just all of a sudden goes off on a rampage. He goes off his meds or something, or they give him too much med, and he just blows their whole plan out of water because he goes and says some shit that's just unbelievably either racist or hypocritical, and they can't really defend it, so they just try to bury it. It's I don't know. It's a shame that we have to live like this in the year 2024.
Yep.
I mean, we're supposed to be the shining light in the universe for peace and love and light and fairness, and instead we're like, if you don't like somebody, let's just prosecute their asses or just stain their names until such a time that they bow or die or go away. It's not how it's supposed to be. I was telling a friend of mine this the other day. So when I was a kid growing up, it was how big could you make things for how cheap. So, you wanted the big, they said, give you big, massive hamburger for $1. So now you get a little tiny hamburger for $2. It's just.
Yeah, it's like how small can you squeeze and spread the same cost over a smaller burger?
Yep.
So, I used to love them Klondike cones.
Yeah.
And they used to be about yay tall and about yay big around. Now they're about yay big around and about yay.
They are.
I'm a big guy, man. I can't have that little shit. I need a real ice cream cone in my hand. It's I don't know, people. Oh, I'm sorry, guys, but no, because it's true. I mean, when we're talking, sometimes we're making jokes like this, but this is part of our economy today. So everything's 4 times as much and 2 times as small. And every time I turn around, they want to cut gasoline with something else. So, it's cut in most places with ethanol about 10%, but there's a couple other chemicals now they want to add in and make it 5 or 6 more percent that's not actually gasoline. No, that shit burns away as water. You don't get any fuel mileage out of that. No.
Well, then they're closing all sorts of nuclear power plants, which, is kind of the cleanest, non-emissions type power source you could have. But they're trying to close, those down. They're closing down hydroelectric power plants because of the fish. Yeah, right. And then as a result, that's also a super clean form. And then, you got no coal. So what's going to happen? Right. You're going to have power outages, rolling power blackouts, stuff like that, like we have in California, because these people don't think ahead. They don't think through the consequences. They just have their little buzzwords and they say they're look, I think it's good to get away from carbon, but be intelligent about it. Don't be, don't do what the Germans did, get rid of all your nuclear power plants and then have the Russians have you over the barrel.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, they were talking about burning wood pellets this before this winter started because they don't have enough power to generate.
Well, and that's the other problem. Are you really getting away from carbon when you do electric? Because one, you have to use electricity to charge your car, which of course is powered by what? Carbon. And the more of it you need,
the blackouts even worse. Which makes the blackouts even worse because there's more load demand on the grid.
So this came up but this is a question. This tells you the difference between these governors. So Governor Newsom and Governor DeSantis were having a debate. So he asked him, he said, well, you're mandating all these electric cars by, the whole state to be electric by 2035. And he's like, really? He said, you can't even supply your state power now in a normal year without rollouts and problems. He said, what happens when everyone has 2 electric cars and are trying to charge them? He said, you got 40 or 50 million citizens trying to charge, 80 million electric cars plus electric buses and electric trains. And where's electricity going to come from? Oh, well, you're going to need a nuclear power plant or you're going to need several big coal or natural gas plants. So you didn't fix it. You made it worse because the one coal plant produces far more than lots and lots of cars do. I said, so it's ridiculous. Well, no, Jimmy. Currently, right now, if you want to know the truth, you can go look it up for yourself. A normal, I hate to use the Tesla because, I love Elon, but a normal Tesla car, its carbon footprint is 3.5 times of a Toyota Camry for life. 3.5 times. Because one, the freaking battery they use to make it, you have to strip mine a freaking mountain to get to the stuff. And then it's got to be shipped from there to somewhere in Taiwan, then it's shipped somewhere in China, then it's shipped to Japan, then it's shipped to us. And then we put it in there, and it only lasts 10 or 15 years. And then you got to dispose of this really nasty shit and dig more and put more in there. So this did not solve the problem. Just changed the problem and made it worse. It hasn't made it any better. It's like windmills. I mean, windmills are a joke. And I hate to say this because windmills should be a cheap, easy way for power. But their half-life is they don't pay for themselves. You can't have cheap electricity when the product you're using doesn't pay for itself. Plus, I know about the birds, Jimmy Lee. Oh, they kill the birds. Well, yes, they do kill the birds. They do kill lots of birds because they're big, huge. Well, have you ever been to Texas, Jimmy? Okay, I'll tell you what. You can take Interstate 20 or Interstate 10 and drive through Texas, and you will see more freaking windmills than you can even imagine. And if you go off on any of them roads all back through, I've been all through there, all the way to California, and they're just one windmill after another. And you know what's funny? This is what's so funny about all this. So this is across 3 states. All these windmills could produce enough electricity, maybe run in LA fairly steady for a year, right? But right along that road, there's another little plant out there that runs off of
Solar.
no,
Solar?
it gets its energy from the mantle, the thermo. It's thermo energy, and it produces more electricity than all of them mills combined 4 times. It's clean, it's cheap, and it's way more powerful. And then we don't even want to talk about nuclear energy, because really and truly, one nuclear power plant is equivalent to probably 4 states of windmills. It's just, and solar panels aren't any better because they don't last and they're ugly. And
What do you mean they don't last, Joe? I thought
they
they
don't
last a long time.
No, I don't. Solar panels will 10, 15 years if you get a good one. If you get a cheap one, you might get 5 to 7. We've installed a lot of them over the years, and they just, first off, after 5 years, they get a haze on them. So if you don't get up there and clean the bitches, you lose half your power. Well, maybe not half, but about a third to a little more than that. You might leave 40%. And the longer you leave them like that, and the dirtier they get, the more power you lose from them. So you have to clean them, and then for some reason or another, they just wear out. And more so than that, they're on your roof and they're moving around on your roof, causing leaks, which causes damage inside your house. And again, sorry guys, and then they're just ugly. You know, I really don't want them on the front of my house. They're just ugly. I mean, maybe if they want a rack on the side of my house and a panel or something, but I don't want them. You know, you got a $500,000, $1 million home. Do you really want solar panels stuck all over your freaking roof? No, you don't. You know, because it's ugly. And they're just not that. The problem with everything we use right now is ugly. Now, a gentleman a long time ago figured out how to solve the solar panel thing. Put them in space. Stop putting them here. He said, build 1 mile or 2 mile across solar panels in space. He said one of them would supply the East Coast with power steady all the time. Just one of them. Wow. He said you could build 50 or 100 of them and there would be no more worrying about electricity. But I don't understand how that's going to work, because what are we going to have? 50 or 100 of these 2, 3, 4 mile across solar panels floating around in space? And they're not going to be one panel. They're going to probably be thousands of panels. But is that what we're going to have? Are we going to be able to see this ugly shit floating in our skies? See, I just don't know what the real power usage is. What if that's a true statement that they're going to produce? I know they're going to produce a lot more power because of just direct sunlight. Just nothing's cutting through the atmosphere, so it's all pure energy. But still, is it going to produce that much more? You know what? Seeing is believing, and sooner or later they'll put one up there for us to see. What do y'all think? I mean, I don't know. Sean, you know a little bit about tech.
Yeah, you're going to have transmission losses, right, from the panel to the earth, right? Yeah,
they're going to use.
I don't know how they're going to beam it back.
Oh, they're going to use microwaves, and they're going to use microwaves, and they're going to beam. So originally, this tells you how crazy these fuckers are. They were going to give everybody an antenna on the house and beam it to their houses. So I know people don't exactly know what microwaves can do to you. And there's all kind of different kind of microwaves, but most of them are not good for humans. So then they said, okay, we'll put a panel up there that's in geosynchronous orbit over a power plant where they can just beam to have a continuous beam coming down to that power plant all the time. That may work. I mean, I'm not that kind of science. I don't know that much about that kind of science. So it might, I don't know. It might work. It might not. I'm thinking that's risky business though, man.
Well, I mean, high power microwaves are what cause things like Havana syndrome and stuff like that. It'll fry you. The other issue with solar panels and wind is that they're peaking power sources, right? They only produce power during certain periods of the day. They're not base load, where they're constantly generating power 24/7.
Oh, so I did not know that.
Yeah, it's not. So you need really good energy storage, which we're kind of not there yet.
Yeah, so we're kind of not there yet. I know the last one the last non-lithium that we installed, the battery pack set up for 5 days of electricity with no access, like it was a storm, was about the size of my studio, which is a 15 by 15 room. and it was stacked probably 10, maybe 8 foot tall. That was a battery room. And that would run that house, that 2,000 square foot house, for anywhere from 7 to 9 days. But and even that, every day, though, you would be losing enough power that you'd have to start thinking about what you have running. So for the first 5 days, you could run your air conditioner, your TV, and your refrigerator. But after that, you would seriously have to start curtailing what you were using.
It's also a massive fire hazard too.
It
There's
is a
like
massive
forest
fire. Yeah,
fire.
because those old batteries, those alkaline batteries, were deadly. Well, no, Jimmy. So, do you really want lithium? Yes, you could use less lithium in your house to produce the same effect, but lithium batteries are just as dangerous. Them bitches explode all the time. You don't remember Samsung phones exploding on all everybody? You don't
Yeah, I
remember
remember that. Yeah.
Tesla's cars and Hyundai cars exploding? That was due to the battery. So, do you want to put, say, 8 of these in your room? Say maybe 4 foot thick, 8 foot tall. Do you realize that the bitches blew up and you got to have the block with it? We're just, I'm with Sean. We're just not there. We're a long ways from this kind of technology. We really have to get to where we look at this differently and we understand this differently. Well, no, because we have better, think about this, guys. We have hydrogen, which is better than all the shit we just talked about, including carbon. And then we have, what's that nasty, nasty word? What's that one that we don't never want to talk about? Because we always want to talk about nuclear power. What do you mean reverse nuclear power? What the hell? Wait. I'm sorry. Oh, I should have read that. Reverse nuclear power.
Oh wow.
You mean cold fission? Is that what you're talking about, man? Reverse nuclear power, cold fission? Yeah. So we're there now. We actually can produce it. We finally, those guys' experiments for 30 years ago, finally people can reproduce them. They probably could have reproduced them then, but they didn't want to. It's not, but they have to do something now because they've realized they've got themselves in a bind. The damn new world wants clean energy, and you can't do it if you're going to run fuel all the time. So you've got to, but we still have to be able to supply serious power to our tanks and our jets and our fighters and everything. We can't put, you can, okay, we'll ask Sean. Sean ran a tank. Do you want an electric tank?
Hell no. Are you kidding me?
I can see him now. I'm about to him chasing the enemy officer.
Yeah.
90 miles into the fight.
I have no electric. I have no fuel, so I gotta stop and you're sitting ducks.
I can see
stop the charge. Right.
Yeah, I can see the F-35 flying on an electric engine. Come on, people. That's not going to happen. Some things are just stupid. But now, when you talk about cold fission, when you talk about that, and you talk about a power plant about the size of my hand that can produce 100 times what those jet engines could produce running off of jet fuel, then the story changes. And so one about the size of a basketball should be able to run a 5,000 square foot house for up to anywhere from 60 to 200 years because they're not rechargeable. So they would build them and it'd be a little plant. Once the plant starts, it keeps running. I forgot there'll be X amount of fuel in it. So the fuel inside eventually, and they don't even know what eventually is. It could be much longer than they're thinking. And then boom, it'll be clean. So when you move and stuff, you'll be able to take them with you. And it's not really the fuel from what I understand. From the way it works, it's actually going to be the casing is going to be the problem more than anything else. So they're going to have to make it to where it shuts down when a casing reaches a certain point. Well, we're just learning about this stuff.
We'll be dead, Joe.
Oh no, not for this. They're already building these. Elon's planning on building one of these on Mars. Well, people, the one they're working on right now is the size of 3 18-wheelers. It'll be able to power New York City for 100 years without even a blink. Yes, without even a blink. So, but I said it's like I said, I think it's three or four semis big. But when you start thinking about the ones that run your car, which will be about the size of a softball and run your boat, these are interchangeable fuel supplies. Think about this. So you're going out, you're taking your boat out, and you don't want to have two of them, so you just turn your car. If you take the fuel supply out with you, put it in your boat, and you go. It'd also make it a lot harder to steal your damn car unless you got an extra power supply with you. Well, all that shit will be registered. It's I've heard lots of scientists talk about this. There's lots of stuff between hydrogen and cold fission fusion. We should be able to at least feed the needs of our power supplies today. Now, is America going to share this technology? We've already shared it with our allies. Are we going to share it with anybody else? Ooh, we're not going to give it to China or Russia. I can tell you that now. It can make too big of a bomb. Yeah, we're not doing that. Because at first, because China, if you go back 20, 25 years, China looked like it wanted to come out and try to be friends with the United States and say, look, we can do this. We can rule the world together as friends, just like in Serenity and all these other sci-fi movies. And we can do it. But no, Xi Jinping got greedy and pissed off Donald Trump. Donald Trump sanctioned them out of the blue moon. Now they don't even have any money to spend. They're dumping assets all over the place just to try to balance out their economy. Stuff they've been stockpiling for the last 30 years, they're dumping all over, which is dragging prices down, which is probably going to be good for us in the long run. But what are you going to do? They're in trouble. From what I understand, Xi Jinping's in trouble. We could actually find someone else in charge in China soon.
Why is he in trouble there, Joe?
Because he's lost face. So he went up against Donald Trump head to head. I'm going to rule the world. And Donald just bitch slapped him all over the place. And then here comes Joe Cocky Biden, who's probably owned by the Chinese, but still can't save them. They're just, the sanctions haven't been lifted. They can't really be lifted without an act of Congress. Congress is showing no signs of wanting to lift any sanctions. And then COVID got around and pissed everybody off. So nobody wants to buy their products. We don't. Europe don't. Europe's kind of like, we're not buying your products anymore, China. So without Europe and the United States, China's nothing. The rest of the world can't give them the kind of money we spend. If you think about if you look at what we spend right now in China and compared to what we were, it's a big change. But we made them what they were. Us and Europe made them what they were. We were just spending tons and tons of money on tons and tons of bullshit. China made every piece of crap you could think of. And a lot of it was just that, pieces of crap. But we didn't care because we were paying $1 for it. But now, here's China, and China just realized that, and they're having problems with the same thing with their own important stuff like their ships and jets. They have quality control issues. So they built this big, huge, invisible jet, one of the best fifth generation jets built according to them. And so it's flying. It's flying, right? And it's stealthy, whatever. It's leaving a smoke stream 5 miles long behind it. I'm like, you did somebody, I guarantee when Xi Jinping seen it, he probably lost his mind. And since America or Europe wouldn't sell him jet engines, he didn't know what to do about it. Denise, no, we get, you know what? America gets a lot of its jet engines from Germany. We let them build a lot of our jet engines. Because Germany builds really good jet engines. That's all I can say. We get them from other places too, but Germany builds really good ones. What can I tell you?
Aren't they the Mercedes engines?
Does Mercedes build some? Porsche build some, and somebody else was building some. And then, what do you mean? Why don't we keep them jobs in the United States? You know what? I ain't president, and I personally think we should keep them jobs in the United States because I guarantee you we could do it cheaper than what the Germans are charging us for them damn engines. Mm-hmm. It's no, I think we can have the same quality control. When Americans want to have good quality control, they can. You just have to say, this is how it's going to be. And this is, if you're not, your ass is out of here. What happens today in America is we just get lazy and the businesses go for that cheaper, faster, better bullshit that crashed NASA. And it doesn't work for the society. Well, everybody wants to make $30 an hour and do nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sit on the internet and become millionaires. Well, people do sit on the internet and become millionaires, but a lot of them don't. It's I don't mind working. If I sit around too much, I'll get in trouble or I get cranky. I'm just not a good sit around kind of person. No, I just don't. I don't. I'll drive people batshit crazy that are around me if I'm sitting around. Oh no, I'll be like, let's go do this, let's go do that, let's go take a ride for 600 million miles. Do I think Putin is stupid enough to nuke the United States? Let me put it this way. I don't think Putin is stupid enough to directly nuke the United States. But I do think he's stupid enough to use a tactical nuke in the Ukraine and say he found a Nazi stronghold or some bullshit and nuked them. And if they found a bunch of Nazi material there, Well, no, a tactical nuke's different. Tactical nuke's not like we're dropping a 10, 20, 50 kiloton nuke on somebody that's going to pollute the part of the planet for 10 million years and kill an area of 20 to 40 square miles. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about tactical nukes, which are usually 1 kiloton or less, just enough to really take out like 20 or 30 square blocks. That's what they're designed for. Minimal radiation, so the cleanup's easier. We do have neutron bombs, and they do take a 2-year cleanup. But neutron bombs, in a way, are kind of cruel because
Just kill people.
Yeah, they
Or
just
just
kill people.
organics. Yeah, just
Yeah.
organics.
So they're just kind of cool in the fact that, see, a nuclear bomb don't give a shit. It kills everything. It's boom, boom. Yeah, look at that. Nice, flat, even plane. Neutrons like, bloop. Everything else is left behind. The cars, the buildings, no people. You can come in and use this shit in 2 years. That's how long the half-life is. That's a cool weapon. And for a long time, they said, oh, we don't have those. We don't have those. We don't have those.
Well, it was banned, right?
Yeah,
Wasn't it banned?
It was banned. We don't have those. We don't have those. And all of a sudden, one got out, and somebody found that one got out, and they were like, well, we just got the one. Yeah, bullshit. From what I understand, the Navy, they got about 100 of them. I'm thinking, we ain't got one piece of bullshit. I don't know, but it's a dangerous game they're playing out there. Well, actually, you know what, guys? The three of us were talking about this last week, before us last week, because Jay was with us. We know somewhere there's at least 2 of these satellites with them tungsten rods on them. So I'm not so much worried. I think if the Russians launch a nuke from somewhere, they would just drop one of them tungstens right on the area and just flatten it. And that way we're not spreading radiation around. I do know for a fact that
I cannot imagine the impact of one of them tungsten steel rods would do.
Well, they tested one. NASA got in trouble because NASA leaked it. Now we're going back. What is this? We're going back almost 30 years, or maybe 25 years. But there was a satellite that had been put up in space for the explicit reason of testing something along these lines. So this was, I think it was a 2-ton tungsten rod that they dropped from space and made a crater of almost 2 miles.
Wow.
So NASA was not supposed to release this. It was some desert somewhere, and NASA was not supposed to release this. It got released. Even CNN and NBC picked it up and ran it for 2 days. And then all of a sudden they said, oh, no, it was a simulation. It wasn't real.
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
But because NASA's blue sky simulations back there weren't this good, you knew it wasn't a simulation. You could actually tell the way it entered the atmosphere that it wasn't a simulation. But and all the astronauts, when you asked them, just said, "Well, I have no comments," because they knew it wasn't a simulation either. So I don't know the new ones, the ones that actually went up, the ones with the 20 or 30 cylinders on it. They from what I understand, they vary in weight from anywhere from like a 1/4 ton up to 15 or 20 tons. So if you drop a 20-ton steel tungsten rod from however hundreds of miles this is in space, it's going to level a big area. We're talking like the whole state of New York. I mean, it's just going to be I don't know. And China and Russia do have satellites up there that watch these things and monitor these things, and so do we. And now, thanks to Elon Musk, we got satellites at the yin yang all over the place. Watching everything all the time. Russia said that his satellites were an intrusion into their privacy.
What a joke. What a joke.
And then he ordered all because his citizens started buying them and using them because they worked so well in the Ukraine. That's what the Russian citizens had heard about. They started buying them and using them. He said, no, we're developing our own system, which will be like 30 years from now. They'll have it. The U.S. Oh no, Marty. The EU is developing its own version of Elon Musk's system. So Elon reaches out and says, "Hey, let us help you with this." They're like, "Oh no, we don't need your help." And they're like, "Really?" Elon's thinking he could cut maybe 2-3 years off your program, and you're going to tell him no. So what's going to happen? Europeans are going to just start using his stuff. That's what's going to happen.
Oh, hell will break loose there.
Well, they can't tell him they can't. I mean, they don't want to get the citizens coming unglued on their ass. There's a lot of people live in the EU, so do you want to really start that kind of movement? Because Elon's only trying to help the world as far as anybody on the planet's concerned. No, I think he's going to turn out like the evil guy from Moonraker. That's what I think. I love him to death. He's my man crush, but I think he's going to be like one day, y'all going to try to go to Mars, and it'll be big, massive weapons and rail guns and shit. And he'll be like, Earthlings, stay away. This is my world. Kill yourself if you want to. Well, I'm just saying, the guy is brilliant. And every time you turn around, he's got some other brilliant idea he's putting out there. He burns off a lot of ideas too. I don't know who posted that, but he does. Like the tunnel in L.A., the way he ran the car under the ground. As far as I know, it just stopped. They quit using it.
Huh.
God only knows.
Is it the Boring Company?
Yeah, remember he was they were going to put it where your car got in this little thing and it shot you through the tunnel to wherever in L.A. People, I don't think it was a good idea, or he'd be doing it. Or you mean for well, see, that's again the Germans. You're talking about subways. They've built the best subways in the world. Shit, they built the best subways in the world during World War II, and they're still the best subways in the world.
Where's that at, Joe? Germany?
Yeah, all over Germany. They just got a knack for building some stuff. They make great. They engineers. It's a whole damn society of engineers, basically. Don't ask me. I don't want to stereotype. I don't want to start World War III by accident. That stupid American, he stereotyped us. We're going to start World War III. I want to try to avoid that. I got a lot of friends in Germany. Yes.
Here's what's been on my mind though. So Putin saying that there are Nazis over in Ukraine, correct?
That's what this is about. Yeah, that's what it's about.
So why don't he just nuke Germany, man? Because I'm sure there's some Nazis over there.
There's Nazis over here?
No, I know that, buddy. Uh-oh. Big Brother's listening.
Hey, Uncle Nazis. Sorry, God, my voice has been hacking all night. They do. I mean, as far as Nazis go, they live in a lot of countries, especially places like Argentina and places like that. And there are several chapters in the United States. Zeke Heil. It's one of those things. And for some reason, the United States allows it. We're hard on communists in our country, but yet we let Nazis. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, according to the left, everybody right of JFK is a Nazi. So,
well, that's true too.
Yeah.
Actually, let me think. Hold on, Marissa. Write that again. So you're talking about Sean just mentioned JFK. So JFK technically, JFK was a hardcore Democrat, but he wasn't a liberal. No, he was more conservative than he was liberal. All you got to do is go look at his votes and look at what he was doing for the country, and what he was involved in, and how he served honorably in his PT boat. He was closer to the middle for sure than he definitely wasn't.
Yeah.
Liberal. And that's why everybody liked it.
He would be considered to the right of Biden today. Easily.
Oh yeah. Easily. He's
probably right of Nikki Haley. Well,
yeah, he might be, because Nikki's weird, because Nikki flip flops around a little bit. And Nikki Haley is the third place Republican candidate right now. She may be taking over in second soon, but she wants to be the first woman president in the United States. So if for some reason something happens to Donald Trump and he can't run, this race will be between her and DeSantis, and whoever wins that, it will be her and Biden, or him and Biden. And if I was DeSantis and he won, I would take Nikki as my VP because she's got the votes, and vice versa. If she won, I would take DeSantis as my VP, because it also opens up more years down the line for Republicans. Well, you can get 16 years with the two of them if they do a good job. I don't know what kind of president Nikki would make. Nikki's an interesting person, and she makes a pretty good ambassador. But running the country is much different than going out and screwing around with some other ambassador in another country. Or UN for that matter, I think, because that's who I think she was ambassador to. But DeSantis has proven one thing: he can run a state. Florida's in good shape. Unemployment's low. Crime's low. They don't even have an income tax, people. Yes, they don't have an income tax. Texas don't either. Figure that out. California's taxing its citizens into the atmosphere. New York's right there, maybe even higher. Illinois is, Jesus, they're just as bad. But yet these two southern states don't even have an income tax, and the other southern states have a very low one. Why is that? I mean, really? What do you mean big cities? What do you don't think Dallas and Houston are big cities? Are freaking huge. You don't think Atlanta's a big city? Give me a break, man. Atlanta's a hub. Get out of here. There's lots of big cities in the South. They just, oh no, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that some of these cities down here are not just as bad as the northern cities when it comes to crime. That's not what I was saying. Atlanta and New Orleans are shitholes when it comes to crime. They just are. They're fun cities, and they're great cities, and they're entertaining cities, and there's lots to do in both of them. But you better know a local or read around and stay out of certain neighborhoods in both areas.
Mm-hmm. That's anywhere, though, Joe. That's anywhere.
But New Orleans is particularly weird. So if you go to New Orleans, and let's say you're in the French Quarter, okay. Well, on one side, the French Quarter is the river, and with all the river stuff on there, so you're kind of safe along there. One side is the Mercury, so you're pretty safe in the Mercury. It's just another kind of upscale neighborhood. The other side is out by St. Charles and Canal, so you're pretty safe over there. But when you go underneath, headed back towards the north, there are some nasty, nasty, nasty neighborhoods out there. And they have no problem beating you over and taking your money and just pissing all over your head while they're doing it. And it's just, you got to be careful. Well, first rule, people, in any city you go to, either find a local and never travel alone. You know, well, I'm big and scary, but even I don't want to go walking around places I don't know. Well, if Martha's with me now, that's different. See, Martha's back there. Well, you can't see her because she's being hidden, but she's back there. If she's with me, it's different. Then I'd be like, "What do you want, sir? Can I help you, sir?" It's like the guy who goes. The guy does this. He goes. He shows me his gun. He lifts up his jacket and he shows me his gun. It's like, wow, yeah, a little 380, not bad. And as I was turning around, I flipped up my shirt. And I said, he's like, oh shit. I was like, yeah, man. No, a lot of people carry guns in the South. They do. A lot of women carry guns in the South. Usually 380. Some carry 9mm. But a lot of women carry
That's
guns. One
reason crime's not as bad down there.
Yeah. Let me tell you what, a woman down here will probably shoot you faster than a man will. Oh yeah, they don't play. They're not even going to be like, they're going to be like, excuse me, pal. Oh, sir, he was trying to rape me. That'd be the end of that. Have y'all never seen the Skittles TikTok video? Oh my God, that's a true video. Some guy with Skittle colored teeth and horns coming out of his head, and the little Southern woman's telling him what would happen if he came into her house.
I saw that one.
Yeah, because she tells me you better get right with your makeup before you come in my house, because you're gonna be meeting him soon. Oh, that's true down here. People, we shoot you. We don't care. And then you got to watch, especially as ones that live in Louisiana, Mississippi. We shoot you and feed you the gator. There's no evidence. Well, we know he's at your house. Well, sure, come on in. You can look around. Yeah. You sure he wasn't here? No, man.
That would be scary, man. Just to be down in the bayou and just getting thrown in for alligator, that would be scary as sin, man.
Yeah.
How can you all do that down there, Joe?
Actually, it's better to use a chainsaw because it makes it more bloody and it draws more gators. So, it's. What do you mean? What do you think? Well, I don't know what to tell you. Come on down to Louisiana and find out, big boy.
Sure, so I ain't.
Come on down. I'll take you out the swamp and show you around.
No chainsaws, dude. I'll be looking.
What are you talking about? What's the movie? I know which one you're talking about. When they're riding on their motorcycles and stuff. It's like what in the 60s or 70s.
Easy Rider.
Yeah, Easy Rider. That's what. No, it's not like Easy Rider. I'll be honest with you. When it comes to Louisiana, most places in Louisiana, if you leave people alone, they'll leave you alone. There are some places that you might not want to go wandering around in Shreveport and places like that, but most of the state's pretty laid back. Mississippi's a little different. From Hattiesburg to the Gulf, everybody's real friendly, real nice. From Hattiesburg to Tennessee, people are, what you doing in my town? And they don't care what color you are. They just want to know what you're doing in their town. You don't belong here. Get the bleep out of my town. Even the capital's like that.
Really?
People be looking at you like, what the hell are you? And I'm telling you, babe, they'll be side-eyeing you shit like, what are you doing here? Get out of here. We do not want you in our town. I can't tell you.
I don't know about that, man, because if you got people moving down there and then in Mississippi, dude. I mean, that's more money, more
Well, because they're coming to Gulf
the
Coast
state.
anyway. Nobody wants to live in the northern part of the state anyway. There's nothing up there but trees, um, trees and chickens. That's about it. Everything's in the Gulf Coast. That's where the casinos are. That's where all the plants are. That's where the shipbuilding yards are. That's where everything is in the Gulf Coast. So that's where everybody's going to live. I did see the new jet, Janine. I don't know. They keep saying it's Gen 6. It's Gen 6. They won't say anything else other than it's supposed to go into space. That's all I've heard. It's Gen 6, and it's supposed to be able to go into space and come down. So if we come up with a fighter that's stealth and can fly into space and come down, how do you even defend against that? I mean, squadron, you're chasing a squadron, it just leaves you because you can't catch it because it's going ballistic into space, and it just drops down anywhere. You're not even going to know where it comes down out of space. By the time you find it, it's going to be coming in ballistic, probably at Mach 30. What are you going to have? What are you going to do to that? It's going to disintegrate your ass. But there are some downsides to super fast ships. Bullets come out at around Mach 6. Anything faster than that, the bullets can be slamming into the ship. Missiles are actually coming out a little slower than that. So they'll have to have laser weapons or maybe rail guns of some sort. But they won't be able to use conventional weapons because there's no way it'll work. What are you talking about? No, I'm not a scientist. No, that's just common sense. Well, I shoot guns. That's how I know, and I was in the service too. I've actually seen gun double compression. It's horrible when they explode. Yeah, you just don't want to be there. What article was that, Janine? I didn't see any articles like that. What are you talking about? Well, send it over. Oh, I did see. We looked at this a couple of weeks ago. The two galaxies, the Andromeda and the Milky Way colliding. It's an interesting article, but I mean, it's not. It's gonna be a long time, and we're in one of the outer bands, so it may not even affect us. Yeah, so this is the one you sent me. Yeah, the X-59 supersonic test jet rolled out at Skunk Works. This thing, it's got a nose cone that's longer than the plane. I'm thinking.
Can you put the picture up, Joe?
Let me see. I'm not in that mode. Let me switch over to Google, and I don't know. It's weird looking. Well, I don't know if this is the one that's going to go into space either. I haven't read on it yet enough to know. But hold on, let's see. Where has my little dog gone? It went down and stole me some cash from the neighbors. That's where it's going. Mm-hmm. It said, Daddy, I need some kibbles and bits. Let me go get some money. No, I don't need that. Let's see. Present. Dun, 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 dun. Da, 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 da. Come on, get up here. Well, let's just make it go full screen. Let's see. Yep, there it goes. Come back and find y'all. All right. So.
Holy shit.
It looks a little stupid. That's what I'm saying.
Looks like an ostrich or something.
It's retarded looking. Let's see if there's any more pictures and maybe we can stretch something out of here. Oh, here we go. There's some engine.
Where did they drop the bombs from? Where's the bullets at?
Wow, this don't even look like a fighter to me. This looks like some kind of
reconnaissance platform, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure what the hell this is.
Looks like a pterodactyl.
Y'all know it's got system. It's F-16 block, 25 landing gear, flight, trail, simplified, control. Look, it's got all kind of little wings on it. Look at it, 6 of them little baby wings on it. This thing must be planning on going supersonic. FG400 provides design combination. Let's see. Wide wingspan. It's not giving me any information that I'm really interested in. It looks weird. And there it is again. This actually looks like one of them old 1969 jets. It's okay, a camera. Oh, there we go. We got a camera.
Yeah, it's a reconnaissance platform. Got another camera up here.
Yeah, another one up here. Got a monitor. Let's see what else it gives us.
But it's got a payload bay though too, so I'm not sure what they need that for. Maybe dropping satellites into space. I don't know.
Maybe so, or maybe markers, or I guess in an all-out case, they could put a baby nuke in there or something. Well, this is a single cockpit. This is all electronics. I guess it's fly-by-wire. It's kind of surprising they put this much detail in it. Look at this thing. It looks like a freaking little dart.
Yeah.
Damn, I wonder if they got this idea from Stargate. It does kind of look like one of them darts on Stargate. It's definitely streamlined. Maybe this is the one that's going to go to space. Oh, so it's already flying? Okay. I guess I should realize that when I seen it in the sky. Well, you never know. Sometimes NASA does mock-ups, so you got to be careful with NASA and its bullshit. Well, I guess, guys, we'll find out more about this as it goes on, because it's not even giving us no text with it. It's like, no, you don't need to know about us. It's interesting. It's cute.
I think it's ugly, Joe.
I don't know what this 5 mile long thingy is. I guess I wonder if it's got a bunch of sensors in it and stuff.
That or also help go through the atmosphere quicker.
So you got these two little baby wings. You got these two little wings, and you got two up here. I guess it's planning on going hypersonic. I don't know why you need that out of that stuff. Now, that'll be interesting to find out how fast it goes. What's that, Kirby? Well, I don't know how fast it goes. We don't know. It's what we're trying to find out. No, the shuttle re-entered between Mach 22 and Mach 32. It could be anywhere up in there. Yeah, I know. You always hear them say the SR-71 is the fastest thing. The FR-71 is the fastest powered vehicle in the world. The fastest vehicle in the world is a space shuttle on re-entry. Yes, because it's a fallen brick. That's all it does. God help me, why more of them didn't blow up than what happened already. No, well, they were both horrific things to watch. Both of them live. It really sucked. Just like I watched the stupid towers thing in New York. All that kind of shit just sucks. Yeah, it stays in your head. Let's see. Hold on, give me a chance, and I'll get to the damn article. Y'all just piling damn articles all over the place. Let's see what this one is. Hunter Biden just delivered devastating blow to Connor and Jordan on contempt case. First off, I read the article. It's just nothing but bullshit. There's nothing of any consequence. They tried to say that because he didn't show up wasn't contempt, because it wasn't a real subpoena. Jordan's like, yeah, I think it was a real subpoena, my friend. I think that's what it was, but he's not,
Why did he walk out, Joe?
Because
Hunter Biden.
Because of what's her name, and I don't even like this woman, but Taylor Greene was about to rip him a new, you know what? He's scared of her, man. She's vicious when it comes to him, and I guess she's one of the few people in Congress that's got a set of balls, which is just scary all the way around. Whoever wrote that, Marco, I don't like Taylor Greene. I never have. I thought, I'm not going to say what I thought, but because I'll make too many people mad. But I never thought she was very professional, and I just didn't like the way she handled things. But hey, if she gets things done, I guess it's better than some of these other sweetheart babies that just can't seem to get anything done. I'm trying to turn a new leaf and be kinder, people. North Korea watchers issue ominous 2024 warning: "We will kill you, America." Really?
Oh my God!
They always do that. They used to. My thesis advisor, he went and actually visited North Korea as part of. He was in the Clinton administration, and they went to visit this like children's hospital, and when they went to visit, one of their handlers, North Korean, said, when we told the children that the Americans would be coming, they jumped up out of their beds and were ready to fight you. Like they say like ridiculous stuff. And then they would also ask,
Yeah.
they asked Defense Secretary William Perry, like, where are you from? And he would say San Francisco. And they would say, we will bury San Francisco in a sea of fire. Like, they just say stuff like that all the time. You know, it's Juche, whatever
Yeah, no, yeah,
their philosophy is.
and it's been around for a while. Hey, Foxy Joe, they no, that's been North Korea, and then even his father was like that. Well, I mean, if you ever get an asshole that might take it
You know
serious.
who's crazy is his sister.
Oh, she's nuts, and she wants to take over and start a jihad on everybody. But she was scared of Trump too. You know, it was funny. I remember he was out there making all that noise and rattling all that stuff about missiles, and Trump said, I will come and kill you. And that was just right after he launched those 91, 93 missiles while Xi Jinping was having dinner with him on Syria. And after that, he just disappeared. I mean, he stayed gone for 3 years. His sister took over and was doing all that stuff. And the sister was talking smack at some dinner, and Trump said, we do know where you are. And that was it for her. She wasn't talking to him. They were scared of Trump. Putin was scared of Trump. Xi Jinping was scared of Trump. Trump gets back in, you'll see a lot different change on the field because they're scared of Trump. And one of the things that cracked me up, Angela Merkel, who just stayed on Trump's balls the entire time he was president. Joe Biden's in a year and a half. She says, I think I may have misjudged Trump. He said the world was a safer, better world, and the economy were safer and better when he was president. Now, that's a big endorsement from the woman that all she did was hate on him the entire time he was in the presidency. Because she is, but no, she's a liberal, Johnny. She's not a conservative. But
remember when he was speaking in front of the UN in like 2018? He was like, by getting rid of nuclear weapons, the Germans are becoming dangerous, and they were all snickering and laughing at him, right? And by getting rid of nuclear weapons, you're putting your economy at risk to leverage from the Russians and their natural gas. And they're all laughing and snickering. He was right.
Yeah, because you can't get rid of nuclear power plants. See, they were screwing up all over the place. Trump predicted this 4 years. He just knew it was going to come if you didn't do the right things. So one thing about him is somebody goes, well, he's had failed businesses. That's true. He's owned 100 businesses and he's had 6 go bankrupt. That's outstanding odds, people.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
I mean, I mean, you're going to have some problems, but that's outstanding odds, people. I don't know. What do you mean he's a dog? Of course he's a dog. He's a powerful man, and he knows he's a powerful man, and he's a dog. Okay, ladies, close your ears for a minute. Okay, I got a lot of female friends, and most of them are not going to get upset because they said something about grabbing a coochie to another guy. I'm just going to be honest with you. They're going to just kind of laugh about it and say, what kind of stupid shit was that? Even my Christian girlfriends would be like that. They'd be like, what? That was just stupid. A lot of people want to vote for Trump. Even a lot of Democrats have Trump on the ballot this year. Trump's leading in the polls. Trump's all over the place. Trump does have a problem, though. He is starting to lose a little traction amongst his own party with Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis. And the reason why is he has not debated them yet. So when it comes time for the real vote, to see who's going to be the candidate, he's going to have to debate him at least one time. And he better have it all, because they're going to go after him for all these trials and shit that they go on. So, if he wants to truly be president, because this will be a point where Nikki might have a chance to catch him and overtake him. Because remember, the Republicans would like to be the party to put the first woman in the White House. Let's not forget that. And there are a lot of Republicans, a lot of independents, even Democrats that would say, hey, better this woman in the presidency than the crazy orange guy. Personally, I think we'd be better with the crazy orange guy, but still, it's we're in a position where we can really change the country and we can really change the world, and we just got to do it. And it's not going to be with the Democrats probably for another 8 or 16 years. They're just not there anymore. I don't know what they've become. They've become some crazy ass progressive party that just scares the shit out of most of us. What do you mean? Republicans are different right now. See, the parties flip-flop all the time. So remember, one party's racist and one party's not. One party's this, one party's not. And they always flip-flop back and forth because people forget that who freed the slaves was a Republican. It was Abraham Lincoln. Who started Jim Crow was the Democrats. Who started the Ku Klux Klan was the Democrats. But somehow or another, people wanted to vote for the Democrats. That's good PR, people. I mean, anyway you look at that. But Trump literally stuck his foot in their ass when he said, I love this too. He goes, I'm speaking to the black people of America. Can you tell me what the Democrats have done for you in the last 20 years?
That was the best sentence in the world.
I had more of my black friends go, oh, shit, he did not. Oh, shit, he did not. Oh, shit. And when they were forced to sit down, yeah, he's right. And when they were forced to sit down and look at it, they had to agree. That's why Biden didn't get near the black vote he should have, or Hillary didn't get any, really, compared to what she should have gotten. He did good. And he broke records with black and Hispanics in this last election. And the whole thing, I mean, the whole election for the Republicans was a record for as many people that had voted. I mean, he broke every record there was and still lost. That's why I think so many people had a hard time with it. I mean, most blacks ever voted for a Republican. Most Hispanics ever voted for a president. Most women ever voted for a Republican. Most votes for any Republican president ever. And he still lost. And he lost by like 4 million votes. So what do? You take it for what it is and you move on. Trump just had a hard time taking it for what it is. But trying to say treason or insurrection, that's just the Democrats. And you know, they couldn't have believed the country was going to go for this. This is a guy who was kicking out politicians. This was the guy getting rid of the swamp. This is the guy who hates politicians. This is the guy who got on television and said, you know what? Everybody in this room has asked me for money at least once, and I've given everybody in this room at least once. I mean, come on, you were screwed at that point, and I think that's one of the reasons Schumer hates him so much, and Adam hates him so much now, is he don't give him money anymore. He should just shift 10 million. 10 shift would probably get on his side immediately. Oh Lord.
Well, the other thing is that whole January 6th rhetoric is having real world consequences right now. Did you see like the military recruitment article they had on military.com?
No, I haven't seen anything lately.
Almost the entirety of the Army's shortfall in recruiting is white soldiers. Like people who served for the last 20 years and who have children now are not telling their children to serve, because what they saw is that demographic took 85% of the casualties. And then, you know, you have the Afghanistan, like the debacle, the way it was handled politically.
Oh, God, that nightmare.
And then you have them, like, you know, trying to kind of launching, basically making the military into a gigantic DEI institution. And as a result, people are like, you know, you've maligned us. You hate this. You act like you despise this demographic. So why should we fight for you? Why should we fight for the elites? So it's a real major problem right now that people aren't telling their kids to serve. Like traditional people that serve, southern white families, were the biggest contributor, and they're just not.
And they don't want to serve.
Their kids to do it anymore.
It's
Sean. Can I ask Sean something?
Go ahead.
Hey, Sean. Do you think that will change if Donald Trump gets in as president?
No, I don't think this is about Democrat or Republican. I think this is about the people who are running the country, the people with all the power. And I think those who've traditionally served are kind of starting to see behind the scenes. Like these people, they don't send their kids to war. They send your kids to war. So as a result, they don't I mean, I'll give you another example. And again, this is an attack on a Republican. You look at the head of the House Oversight Committee, Turner, right? This guy is in charge of the Intelligence Committee, never served, no children, none of his children have served, and to my knowledge, his parents hadn't served. So he has one of the most powerful positions. He's in the Gang of Eight, and Congressman Turner, has no business to be running that position, but he gets to make decisions about whether he sends your kids to war. It's unacceptable. It's just unacceptable.
It is unacceptable. It's to the point now that every time you turn around, somebody's getting screwed. And a little guy, a friend of mine, because I do a little stuff for BLM from time to time, and a friend of mine works for Black Entertainment Network down here. And he's a good friend of mine, and he gets confused about it sometimes. He said, "I don't understand." He said, "I hear racist, racist, racist." He said, "But really, all the people I know aren't really racist in the way that they're being portrayed." I said, "Because." I said, the race war ended 20 years ago, my friend. You're fighting a class war.
Right.
I said,
Right.
anybody fighting the race war today is already lost. I said,
It's a
because that's not
distraction.
what's going on. I said, that's exactly what it is. It's a distraction. I said, you're being distracted from the real thing, which means that this group is getting wealthier and wealthier and wealthier, and this group is going down and down and down, and the gap is getting wider and wider and wider. I said, this is what this is. I said, we're not fighting because of color anymore. We're fighting to see who's going to survive. And I said, it has to change. And I said, it just has to change. And he's like, well, different demographics do different things. I said, well, that's true, but all that's changing in our country. I said, populations aren't like they used to be. They're integrating, they're melding together. It's a whole different country. I said, down here, it's much different because we have hurricanes and they've wiped out all the ghettos. So now there's actually nice apartment complexes and people are all living together. And the city's much more diverse than it used to be. And everybody's spread out more. So everybody's kind of, it's not like, 100% this color, 100% that color, 100% this color anymore. So it's changed the way people think about each other down here. But still, man, that's the rest of the country's got a long ways to go in it. And I always hear liberals aren't racist, but when you see the most racist places in the United States are where? New York, Chicago. I mean, they're outrageously racist. Yeah, no, the South got over. The South probably beat out the North 10 or 20 years ago when the black population started catching up to the whites. So Georgia is like 40% black. Alabama's about the same. Mississippi's about the same. Louisiana's about the same. The cities like Louisiana, like New Orleans, are 60% black. Atlanta, 60% black. So it's different. We've all had to learn to get along or kill each other. So we all chose, let's party together and have a good time. And that's what goes on down here now. But that's not how it up in the North, because to put it in perspective, my son and his wife went up to Michigan, and where she's from, and no, James, she's a woman of color. Well, she's not black like that, but she is black, and she's brown. No, she's not from Africa. She's Norwegian and Brazilian, I think.
Damn, she's cute.
And well, I look, I could be wrong. She's one. How do I know this? I don't pay attention to that kind of crap. Anyway, long story short, they're up there, and people started discriminating against them. Wouldn't let them eat in restaurants and shit. And, it's weird because when I was a kid, say 30 or 40 years ago down here, you would see that kind of shit happen. Our sheriff, Harry Lee at Metairie, if you were black and you came across the state line, he'd put you in a squad car and put you back in the city and tell you if you came back again, you'd be in prison.
Really?
And he was, he was Asian. So it was, I don't know, it was a mess. But all of that's going away now. None of that it's like that anymore. It's all changed now. It's all different, and it's much, much better than it used to be. And people can get along, and people can raise their kids together. And well, Kelly, just to help you with this, so if I took a group, say of 55-year-olds or 4-year-olds, and threw them in a room, all mixed colors, they would play just fine. They would get along. They wouldn't have problems because racism is taught. You're not born racist. You're taught to be racist.
Yes, that's the truth.
So if that, well, that's just the way it is. Go to any daycare center and see the kids. Don't care what color they are. They just having a ball out there. It's later on when mom or dad or something like that. Another perspective. I'm in Home Depot day before yesterday picking up some roofing material. So this guy, he's from South America. Actually, he's from North America, my friend. I think he's from Mexico. So this black guy is trying to get this black guy to come give him help that works at Home Depot. He just turns around and calls him an effing, you know what. I'm thinking, we're going to have a little fight going on up in here now because, black guy looked over him like, what? But he couldn't really do anything because he's a Home Depot employee. And then the other guy, he just said, well, him and his partner said, we're going to leave. He said, well, you know what I mean, man. You can't trust any of them blank, 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 blank black people. I was like, whoa. I have not heard racism like that since I was like 12. I really have not. I was just taken back by it. Even my son was. He was kind of like, what the? Some people are still full of hate, but they're not from the country. These are immigrants. They're legal immigrants, but they're still immigrants. And they feel sometimes that they're being put out or taken advantage of. It's like a lot of convenience stores around the South get they get brought in by Arabs and stuff like that, or sometimes from South Americans will get grants to come into the country and run these places. Well, the brother gets furious because it's in their neighborhood. And then here you got some Asian running a big old market inside the black neighborhood, and they just get off. And if you paid attention during the BLM riots, a lot of those kind of stores got burned to the ground. They weren't black stores; they were just other owned stores. There was a lot of that, people, but I didn't hear any insurrection then, people.
Again, goes right back. That's why people are like, I'm not like these people hate me, so my kid ain't going in.
Wow.
And a lot of it's just manufactured in order to
I told
distract
my son,
people away from what's really going on.
I told my son when he was 18, my son's 37 as of, but I told him when he was 18, I said, if you want to join, I said, the Air Force or the Navy is the easiest two branches to join. I said, Air Force is by far the easiest out of all the branches, except for maybe the Coast Guard. And I said, so, I mean, if that's what you're after, and if you just want to serve because you feel like you need to serve, I understand that. That's why I joined. I joined for an education, and I just wanted to serve. I just wanted to be part of it, I wanted to be part of the military. And I had a great experience. I'm not going to lie. But today, from
Joe, right with you. Exact same thing for me. Exact same thing.
Yeah. Oh, well, no, Denise, all three of us served. Yeah. Yes, all three of us served. What do you mean we should put a military label on the show? It make me a background. I'll put it behind us.
We don't need to wear that little flag to show how patriotic.
Yes, we people. Actually, if you listen to the show, you'll know.
Yeah, we actually volunteered with our 4th points of contact.
That's
if you
right.
ever been to airborne school, you'll know what that means. It means
Nope.
You're
I was in the
rear
Navy.
end.
I was in the Navy.
Your rear end. Yeah. We volunteered ourselves, our bodies. So
yes. Oh, and by the way, that's the other thing too. Everybody here was volunteered service. None of us were drafted. Yeah, no, we all volunteered to be part.
It was the best 4 years and 30 days of my life.
Look, I had a good time. I enjoyed it. I learned a lot. I ended up getting, because of the Navy, I ended up getting the bachelor's, and I got to even shortcut getting it. I said, I'm happy with it. But when my son got to 18, I said, well, look, if you want to go, you can go. I said, it's not as hard as you think it is. I said, boot camp is, the first 2 weeks of boot camp kind of sucks. But after that, it gets just progressively easier. You get to meet friends. You're having a good time. I said, I said, if you get sent to like San Diego or somewhere or Orlando where they got girls, that you might even have a better time. And, but anyway, I said, it's up to you. I said, I'm not telling you. I said, I can tell you my experiences were good. And when he would have went in, it would have probably been decent. But I've had some friends just get out recently, and they were telling me that there's been new rules and regulations that's being forced on them that's making them leave. Before, some of these guys could stay another 5, 6, 7, 8 years and retire. They're not staying. They're leaving. And I'm like, wow. But they're getting jobs and, pretty decent high-paying jobs in industries and outside of it. But still, it's because they don't want to be told who they have to serve with.
Did you see the letter they sent to all the people who refused the vaccine and were given dishonorable discharges?
No, I didn't. I heard something. I actually heard quite a lot about that stuff. And then I know there's still an ongoing lawsuit over that as well, because the court recently said that you cannot force people to have vaccines. So this is going to all go backwards now, because in the beginning, they said the courts could do it, but the Supreme Court got hold to it and said, no, you can't force people into having vaccines, because the Supreme Court's what stopped the vaccines on federal employees. They said, no, you can't do that. You can't just tell people that they have to have the vaccine to work for you. No. Because shit like now, if the COVID's just like the flu now, it's just shit, another part of life. So you can't go around telling people they have to do that. So there's going to be about a lot, and then they're going after Fauci now too.
Good.
About time.
Yeah, and so
I won't say on air what they really should do to him, but the guy's responsible for 7 million deaths.
He's such a effing pig with his what is it? Research? What do they call it?
Gain of function research.
Gain of function. Thank you.
Here's the thing. It's one thing to engage in this stuff, but if he had come clean and said, "Look, we need to prepare for biowarfare variants, and it's illegal for me to do that in the United States, and this is just something that he felt was necessary." And look, he would have gotten some sort of a punishment. But this I'm trying to find a word that I could say on air, but this slimy SOB decides that first he's going to lie And he's going to lie at every step. When they find out they don't have enough PP&E for the medical staffs, he lies and says, you don't need it. And the next thing you know, like, people are accosting you on the street if you're not wearing a mask, because then you do need it. And then the other thing that he did is he just lied the entire time, when he's the one that the NIH, he approved to pay for a project from EcoHealth that worked on novel coronaviruses at the Wuhan Institute of Technology. And the thing leaked. And the fact that we're still obscuring that is unconscionable. Right.
Congress is looking towards that. It probably was a leak now, but the problem with our Congress is people get paid off, or they get money sent by this or that, or somebody comes up and tries to give them something, or bribes them or something else, blackmails them. God only knows anymore with Congress. So it slows everything down. It makes it hard to get anything pushed through. And first everybody agreed, this was a leak, and then no, it's not a leak. And then it was a leak. Oh, no, it's not a leak. And then the Democrats and Republicans split on it. And then a lot of Democrats started moving back to it.
If you recall, the first thing that happened is if you said it was a leak, you were a racist. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. I still haven't quite figured out how you're a racist because you said something leaked. But and then we find out about the gain of function research, which pretty much proved that it was a leak. And then we start hearing other stuff. So we had 5 people on the ground in Wuhan when this all was going on. From the start to the peak, and it was crazy there. So we had people when the hotel collapsed, they were actually there when it happened. So we got all kind of great video. I shouldn't say great video, but all kind of video of that. We got video of there and other cities in China where they had these basically fog machines. And there was nobody on the streets, and they were just going through fog and everything. We've got them where they've got 40 incinerators out there, and they've got body bags that are actually still moving.
Well, how many people do you think really died in China? Is that they were reporting like 8,000 or something?
Whatever died in our country, at least 10-fold more, maybe 20-fold more. There is no way that we lost. Well, last time I checked, we had lost almost twice or maybe 3 times what they did. There's no way, people. So from the people we had in Wuhan, they said probably 1/3 of the population of Wuhan died. So, and these are people, 2 of these people worked in the government there, and actually they're still there. Well, I can't ever mention their names, but all 5 of them still there. They're from Wuhan. They lived there. They showed us pictures like when they were putting the metal straps in the doors and putting the metal straps on the windows and putting these little holes in so they could slide food in and stuff. They were locking everybody down on their own. But he said from when they all got settled down and everything was said, the dust was down, he said they figured it was probably roughly about 35% of the population of Wuhan died. Wow. So if you times that times China, which was probably much lower, it's probably about 10%, but still. And let's not forget, India just passed China as the most populated country in the world by only a few million. Probably the loss of COVID changed it, and of course. Because India, it was another country that didn't seem to be reporting a bunch of COVID deaths. I'm like, but you know what? Oh, I'm not going to say that on air because I'll get in trouble. But there's probably reasons why India had less problems with COVID than China. Well, think about this, people. The South Americans didn't get it as bad as some other places do, but the South Americans are still living a much rougher lifestyle than we are. Americans are spoiled rotten. They're still having to get water out of wells. A lot of them are outside all the time. They're still eating foods that are being brought in. It's a different type of diet. It's a different type of lifestyle than what we have. Americans, we are all ganged up together, walking in places, listening to like people like good little cattle. Oh, stand here and let the Wuhan stuff fall on your head. Oh, I meant the COVID fall on your head. Well, I never understood that. Oh, let's get 6 feet apart. Well, people forget when you're breathing hot air. Hot air rises about 2.5 feet above your head. So and the whole time you're standing there, you're generating this above your head. So when the next person comes, that air cools and just settles down on them. I never understood, and I know the CDC knew this because we put a video up on YouTube that got taken down and destroyed like 3 times. We put it to the test. We did it in the smoke room, but YouTube was like, no, No. So the first one we did it where just breathing an N95 mask with no beard, no all clean skin. You could see all the orange marks from the smoke around the side of the mask and along the edges of the nose, which means they were getting it in their nose. Of course, now if you had a mask on, I mean a beard, that shit was everywhere. I mean, it was all over your face. It was everywhere. But the N95 was not keeping it from getting in even a clean, smooth shaven person's face. It was still getting in there. And then we showed with the blue smoke. So you'd blow it out and it would go up in the air. And then when the next person would come, it would just settle down on their head. And then they'd start breathing. It would start mixing in. So then you had two people's breath mixing in when the third person came in. And I know CDC knew all of this. I knew because I worked for OSHA. I was an OSHA rep when I was young for checking out restaurants and stuff. I mean, this is way back, right when I got out the Navy, actually. And that's why I got the job. The guy said, "Oh, well, you just got out the Navy. You're used to being on people's ass about shit. Okay, we'll give you a job." It's like, okay. No, I learned a lot. And then, when I opened my own business in construction, I had to deal with OSHA a lot, certain types of paint we're using, or if we're taking out lead homes or homes that are lead based, we have to wear respirators and we have to. So people, to help y'all with this, I don't have one here. I'm going to have to get one of my respirators and bring it up here one day. And I'll show you what it takes to keep COVID out of your face, out of your sinuses, actually for real. The respirator that we wear is about side to side, about this big. It's got two big breathing apparatus and a big hole right here, which has filters that wrap around through these and come back out. And actually it's hard to breathe in. And that will keep COVID out. It's got enough filters in it, and it drops to the microns that's smaller than COVID. So it'll keep it out. But using an N95, that was just bullshit. That's like that little kid says, and I think, bullshit. That's what that was, man. It was just
What's that noise? What's that noise?
Bullshit. What am I hearing things?
Yeah.
I didn't hear it. I didn't hear
That's probably my dog.
He's
gone now?
He's loving somebody.
Yeah. No. I was just wondering because sometimes we get like paranormal activity on this program. So
yeah, you get paranormal activity all over the damn place. What is that, Jimmy? Let me see. I know y'all just sent me some more. Hold on. Where did you send them to? Wait. Oh, wait. You know what? We need to take a little break anyway. So let's toss this up real quick, since it popped up in my ear sensor anyway. So here we go. We'll be back in about 3 minutes. Anybody needs a smoke? No, that's grass, gas, or ass. Nobody rides for free. That's what you're talking about. Yes. That's a 70s thing. Yeah, it used to be on the big trucking guy. It said grass, gas, or ass. Nobody rides for free. I still believe in that motto even today. Anyway, let me share this, and we'll be right back in about 2 minutes, everyone. So just hang out, stay tuned, go get a Coke, and just chill out. I'll say I'll be back in 2 minutes.
Have a Coke and a smile.
I was born on July 4th, 1776, and the Declaration of Independence is my birth certificate. The bloodlines of the world run in my veins because I offered freedom to the oppressed. I'm many things, and many people.
Bitch, don't mess with me.
I am the nation. I'm 200 million living souls, and the ghost of millions who have lived and died for me. I'm Nathan Hale and Paul Revere. I stood at Lexington and fired the shot heard round the world. I'm Washington, Jefferson, Patrick Henry. I'm John Paul Jones, the Green Mountain Boys, Davy Crockett. I'm Lee Grant, Abe Lincoln. I remember the Alamo, the Maine, Pearl Harbor. When freedom called, I answered and stayed until it was over there. I left my heroic dead in Flanders fields and on the rock of Corregidor, on the bleak slopes of Korea, and in the steaming jungles of Vietnam. I am the Brooklyn Bridge, the wheatlands of Kansas, and the granite hills of Vermont. I am the coal fields of the Virginias and Pennsylvania, the fertile lands of the West, the Golden Gate and Grand Canyon. I am Independence Hall, the Monitor. I am the Merrimack. I'm big. I sprawl from the Atlantic to the Pacific. My arms reach out to embrace Hawaii and Alaska. 3 million square miles. I'm more than 3 million farms. I'm forest, field, mountain, and the desert. I'm quiet villages, and I'm cities that never sleep. You can look at me and see Ben Franklin walking down the streets of Philadelphia with his bread loaf under his arm. You can see Betsy Ross with her needle. You can see the lights of Christmas and hear the strains of Auld Lang Syne as the calendar turns again.
Welcome back, everybody. No, Jackie Lee, that is actually Johnny Cash did that. There's actually a whole song if you if you want to cut it. We use it. Sometimes we use it as an intro. Yes, no, we use it as an intro sometime, and along those lines. Wait, how we lost Sean down there, heading back into the stage. No, it's a cool little thing, and I mean it gives you an idea how we feel. And oh no, we got another song that's going to cue. Well, we play a lot of patriotic music on the show. Sometimes we get into some heavy rock, which we missed out on the first show because we were supposed to be listening to Sandman. And if you have a selection of a good rock song that you'd like to hear us play at one of the openings, because we can play anything we want because we play ASCAP, but send it on over. I mean, what do you mean? The Stairway to Heaven's too long. It's like 7-8 minutes, man. It's just too long for an intro song. Even Sandman's kind of long. A lot of times I'll cut it short a minute or two. I think 3 or 4 minutes. You know, somebody sent me the other day and asked me to play. It was by Foreigner, Standing in the Rain. I can't remember the damn name of the song. Jukebox Hero. That's what they wanted me to play.
Oh,
it's a short song. I mean, it's not. That's not one of my favorites, but
you know what?
Well, I don't hate him for it.
Dude. Play Renegade.
Renegade's good too. It's
play Renegade.
There's a lot of stuff. No, people, y'all can send us in stuff. Well, I'm wearing black tonight because who won the contest? Gene. Yeah. So I don't know. This has been going on for 4 or 5 years now. I post it once a week. I'll post a thing either on Facebook or on the website. And I'll give them like 6 colors of shirts to choose from and 7 or 8 colors of ties. And whoever wins the bid gets to decide what I'm going to wear.
Oh, my God.
It's all for charity. It goes to St. Jude. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. I didn't start this. Somebody else did this. And most in any one night, $7,500.
Wow.
Yeah. I had just got a bunch of new shirts. And they got a freaking bidding war over it. The red one won, yes. Everybody wanted to see what I looked like in the red one. I still remember that I got a pretty plaque somewhere. It's in the office somewhere from St. Jude for donating the money to them from the station. I like to help out. If I was like Elon Musk rich, I'd be giving money to everybody. That's why he would be rich and I'd be poor again. That's what that would be about. Because I mean, you can't take it with you. I mean, you can make sure your family's secure, and the rest of it, help other people.
You come in poor and you leave poor. That's how you look at it.
Oh, you think you should bury it in a grave and hope that it comes to you on the other side? Well, you could try.
It's what the Egyptians did, man.
Hey, I'm not hating. Now, look, it may work. I don't know. If there is an afterlife, I sure the hell don't remember it. No, Jeannie, that's not true. The Egyptians were brilliant for their time. The Dogon were brilliant for their time. The Toltecs, the Aztecs, the Mayans, the Incans were all brilliant for their time. The Indians were brilliant for their time. Well, see, when you look around the world and you look around and see how many great empires were, India had a great, huge empire. They ruled the world. The Greeks ruled the world. The Romans ruled the world. Nobody rules the world today. Technically, you could say the Americans rule the world, but we really don't. So you can't. We kind of sort of rule part of the world, but we don't really rule the world. So it's a little different now, but we do have the largest influence in the world, if that's what you're saying. Yes, we do. And the problem is we have Cracker Joe up there don't have no idea what to do with it. Iran, we should have already put our foot so far up Iran's ass, it ain't even funny. I'm not saying we got to blow them up. I just say we just go park off their coast and say, look, if you don't stop all this with all these rebels, we're just going to start leveling different parts of your country where we think this shit's at. We're just going to sit here and just start. And if you want to come fight us back, fine. We'll just do like we did Iraq. So just bring yourself on. Well, Iran already knows. I mean, Iran couldn't beat Iraq, and we stomped Iraq out of existence in less than 6 months. Do you really think Iran wants to start a fight with us? No, they don't. And do you really think China's going to come take up for Iran? No, they're not. Russia might chew and spew and spit and poo. But Russia's already got its hands full with the Ukraine. It doesn't want to start moving troops to get into a war with somebody like us because we have way more assets. That's a good point, Dean. Sean, both of Sean's and I were talking about this last week about our supplies are probably a third of what they should be. We've been giving shit away left and right or selling shit left and right. Our military is depleted in a lot of areas that needs to be brought back up. And it's not like we can just produce this shit overnight. We can produce it fast, but not overnight. So we have to start to make sure that in a year from now, everything we need is there.
Here's an interesting data point. So we can produce 15 to 20 armored vehicles a month. Okay, so what's that? Maximum 240 tanks a year if we wanted to focus exclusively on the M1. Last year, the Russians apparently either refurbished or produced 2,100 tanks. So they have almost 10x the productive capacity we do. We have like one plant in Lima, Pennsylvania that does this stuff. Like why? And I think if we actually were to ramp that up, they could produce 33 tanks a month. Yes. Right. So you're talking still less than 400. Right.
So, and what that means is just like we did at World War II, we got to go to places like GM and Ford and retool their plants so that we can do this. But the difference now is these plants are a lot more specialized than they used to be. So it's going to be harder to retool them. People, well, that's going to make it easier. No, it's not. It's going to make it harder.
And they have a lot more parts, like specialized parts. Like you need rare earth metals and all the electronics. You know, it's not as it's a much more sophisticated problem that you have to deal with.
To you, Sean, what I want to ask, if the Russians are making more than refurbishing and making them, our quality is better than their quality, correct?
Sure, but you know, if you're outnumbered 10-1 by tanks,
well, we're smart. They're smart. We're smart. Yeah. They're not. So 2 M1s could probably wipe out 10 to 12 of those Russian tanks, I believe. Yeah, I'm being serious about this.
Well, no. So what really goes on here is our tanks are better than Russians, and our tanks don't play pop the head when you hit them in certain places. And I have no doubt that an M1 tank could take out several Russians, but what we're not thinking about is those tanks will be followed by what? A-10 Warthogs. So it's not going to be just the tanks. It's going to be some A-10s going, are you messing with my buddies? Are you messing with my buddies in the tank? Are you really messing with my buddies in the tank? Watch what's going to happen to your ass.
Yeah, the problem, though, is what the Russians actually are good at is air defense systems. They have some of the best air defense systems in the world.
They did, but thanks to the Ukraine, we just found out that not so much anymore. So the Ukraine has taken out 11 of their air defense systems in the last 3 weeks, I'm sorry. They have opened up a hole between Kiev and Moscow where the Russians can't see anything. And now they have petitioned, I think it was the Germans, for the X-10 long-range missile that can reach Moscow. So Ukraine is asking just to get its ass killed is what they're doing. If they start dropping big
they're asking
bombs,
to start World War III is what they're,
Well, no, they're not even going to start World War III because what's going to happen is if you just start killing shit of Putin's in Moscow, one afternoon Kiev is just going to disappear. And we're not going to be able to say anything because he attacked inside the Russian territory. Right now, it's just Ukraine defending itself, and we're fine with that. But if we start making it to where they can attack, no, that's not going to work. First, it's going to piss the Russians off. It's going to piss us off. It's a lose-lose. But Zelensky thinks he can do it. And Poland's talking shit like we should invade Moscow. So we've got people in Moscow saying we should sink British ships. We got people in Poland saying the rhetoric is too much. The rhetoric is just too much. We need to take a breath before somebody kills somebody. And I'm worried about it because it's a good chance that somebody will kill somebody. It's Putin's. I don't know if Putin even cares anymore. He's probably only got a year left in his life anyway. I don't even know why he's running for president again.
Well,
But it-
because it's that year. He has to go through the motions, right? And by the way, Ukraine has an election the same day. I think it's
oh,
March
shit.
17th.
Oh, really?
So
St. Patrick's Day.
yeah,
Holy
that's kind
That's
of an
That
odd
is
date
weird.
for them to, you know.
yeah. Uh,
Maybe Joe
yeah.
Biden will have the luck of the Irish that day.
Jesus.
No, man. What are you doing to me? Don't do that. Don't ruin my day. Don't ruin
Where are
our
y'all at?
day. Sean, do not ruin our day.
Well,
What-
let me really ruin your day. Guess what election is tomorrow?
What's that?
Taiwan.
Oh, Taiwan's getting
Ooh.
there.
Actually, it's probably now because they're
They're a day ahead of us. Yeah.
probably
They're
happening as we speak. Yeah. So
So
God knows
all
what's
three of the
happening after
people
that.
who were running are all pro-American and anti-Chinese. Man, that hasn't happened in a long, long time.
But some are more anti-Chinese than others.
Yes, but no, these all three of them though are anti. So it was funny when I was watching this thing out of Taiwan because America tried to do the special, but I don't know. Americans are scared to ask hard questions these days. But anyway, the Taiwanian reporter, she was a bitch. She was like, "So, what do you think?" She asked the first guy. She said, "Are you really anti-Chinese?" Well, I'm not anti-Chinese. He said, "But Chinese has no business being." And Chinese people talk real fast, or Taiwanese people talk real fast. And he's like they really have no business being in our government at all. They have no business influencing, and we should immediately take action against any kind of influence Chinese tries to put inside of our governments. And we should keep buying more and more and more of American weapons. Well, this was kind of parroted by the other two. They have become more pro-American, and every now and then I see this happen when one of our presidents say, "Yes, we will defend you from China." I think it's like a repay, so that we are there for them. Taiwan people, I love y'all. I think y'all are great. I want to tell you the truth. Okay, we are defending y'all, and we will defend y'all with our people and our lives, but it's not so much to save you. It's called a microchip.
Mm-hmm.
And we can't let the Chinese have the microchip. So we're going to come defend you to make sure the Chinese do not get our microchips. And we thank you for keeping them secret so far. And we appreciate that you keep doing so. And we will come keep China from owning Taiwan. But that's the real reason why, just in case y'all didn't do that. Y'all are great people. I think Taiwanians are fabulous people, but our politicians are just stupid. That's all I can say.
Well, does Japan protect Taiwan too?
Yeah, I think they would. Absolutely. Because they're allied with us and they
Yeah,
would
we've
certainly support
been
the infrastructure. Yeah.
ever since we released them for their terms at the Versailles Treaty. We've been rearming their asses because Germany
they doubled their defense expenditure as a percentage of GDP. I think it was like 1%, and they were
well, because a
allowed
long
themselves to
time
double
all
it.
they could have was a defense force like Germany. We wouldn't let them have a military. Like, don't let have you because they're not getting another military. We've seen what your little ass island did with the last military you had. We don't want you to have another one.
Yeah, they're cutting people's heads off in Nanking, right?
Yeah, I know. But now,
Crazy.
now we're all in the same bed and Godzilla works for us now. So next time y'all see a movie, Godzilla will be stumping Moscow.
I mean, you really want to scare the Chinese. You just say like, "We're not coming. We're just going to send the Japanese." They will freak the hell out. They are terrified of the Japanese.
Because Japanese have conquered them twice. The last time they conquered them by giving them rice. That was crazy. I was reading that. God, I was like 25. It's a long time ago. And so I'm going through this history thing with some work we were doing on another project. And I'm reading it, how many Chinese actually gave their guns up for just one bowl of rice and were executed like 2 days later.
Just read about the Sino-Japanese War in 1895. Like this is, there are accounts of Western journalists, and there were some atrocities committed against the Japanese soldiers, specifically Japanese soldiers, right, where they, were beheaded or something like that. So the Japanese just went in and they beheaded everyone, men, women, children, and then they made they don't mess around. They're not nice like we are.
No, they're not.
When they go in, they are samurai. Like they will just kill everyone. Now, I mean, they're probably nicer and gentler today, but back then they did not mess around, man. They did not mess around.
They're not. I mean, they were ruthless. All over doing those. They killed all kind of people all over the place during World War II, World War I. I mean, they were just ruthless. And what do you mean, Fred? Oh, want me to tell you what happened to him? Yeah, same thing that happened to everybody in our country. They became westernized. Yes, because Westerners want to have good lives and be left alone. We don't want to kill people anymore. Well, let me rephrase that. Our government still wants to kill people, but the rest of us don't want to kill people anymore. We don't want wars. We want to use our Sonys. We want to have our iPhones or our cell phones. We want to be able to get on and do stuff like Sean and I are doing tonight. We really want to enjoy our lives. And we're not the only ones. Japan wants to enjoy this too. Europeans want to enjoy this too. Shit, the damn South Americans down there living in the jungle want to enjoy this too with their little cell phone tower out there. I mean, really and truly, it's not the world it was when most of the people who are in power today first became in power. They need to go. Putin, Biden, so many of these leaders. Oh, you mean Mr. Pink Shorts, Trudeau? He should have already been going. He's a communist. His daddy was a communist. No, because his daddy wasn't the guy in there. His daddy was Fidel Castro. Oh, they pretty much proven it now. Well, so first it started out as a rumor because if you look at Trudeau as a kid and Castro as a kid, they look just alike. And as young men, they look really alike. So when she got pregnant was a certain time. Come to find out, her husband for 4 weeks was in Canada while she was in Cuba.
Well, weren't they swingers too? Like,
yeah, they were swingers. Well, yeah, he had a girlfriend. No, so why her husband was in Canada? He was with his girlfriend. So yeah, it's pretty much a good So he's communism in his blood.
Daddy. Yeah.
Why do you think he wants to make Canada communist? It's in his blood. He can't help himself. Viva la Canada! You idiots! No. I don't know. Look, I've seen him 100 times. It's very weird. Sometimes when I see pictures of the two of them together, the Canadians already believe it. They have no problem thinking he is. He's not the best leader in the world. I never hear anything about the Australian leaders lately. Singapore and places like that's been kind of quiet. Even Mexico's been kind of quiet. Brazil's been kind of quiet. Oh, I agree. I agree that the most beautiful women in the world come from Brazil. That's why they've won so many Miss Universe contests. I know they've won like twice as many as anybody else. Maybe 3 times as many. You know, American women, I love y'all, so don't take that the wrong way, but they're just some kind of just natural. It must be something in the jungle down there. I don't know what it is. Who knows? I don't. You mean bet on what? On NASA? What are you talking about? Wait, okay, so you say you're going to bet us that NASA is going to get to the moon before Elon Musk does. Okay, Elon Musk is who's helping NASA get to the moon. Yes.
Well, NASA's already been there. So
yeah, that's true too. But, yeah.
Right.
So you should say going back to the moon. Yes.
Yeah.
It would be better to say you're going back to the moon. Well, I've met a few astronauts in my lifetime. I've interviewed quite a few online, and I've met a lot of the shuttle astronauts. But I've met astronauts from Gemini, Mercury, and Apollo. And the last time I had lunch, I was at the Washington Press Club with Edgar Mitchell and Buzz Aldrin. Yes, it was a great lunch. A little hero worshiping going on. I talked to them about, have y'all seen any weird shit in the sky? And they said all the time. I've never talked to any astronauts that haven't. I got to be honest with y'all. I was in the Navy for a while, and every pilot I talked to said they saw some kind of weird shit in the sky. And I started interviewing commercial pilots when I opened up the International Community for Alien Research, and all of them told me the same thing. They always see weird shit in the sky. It's just the Navy, you have to report it. So the Navy passed a thing when I was in the service. If you see it, you report it. You never speak about it again unless asked about it by someone of consequence. And that's just how it was. But pilots and, people who work with each other, they get in the line chat and get the bullshitting each other. And next thing you know, this kind of stuff comes out and they'll start talking about all the weird shit they've seen or how things would just come sit on the side of the F-18 Hornet and just like, hey, what are you doing? And he'd sit on the other side of the F side of the 18 Hornet, sit on top of it. It's like sometimes he'd get over the top of the cockpit and just glow and pulse and glow. And he'd hit the afterburners and it wouldn't even break a sweat. It would just stay right with the jet as it was going on. He said, then it would just take off and come back. He said it was kind of like the description of the Foo Fighters. And we got lots of reports like that. They really wanted to I think in some ways they just like to screw with the pilots. It's like, you know what it's like, guys and girls. You remember the F-22 pilots that pulled up under the Iranian jets? They didn't know they were there the whole time. Then they told them to go home. It's the same thing. See, it's just a better technology. That's all. I haven't seen anything as good as the Foo Fighters yet. Our drones can kind of simulate Foo Fighters, but not the speeds. The movements of flipping over now, our drones can simulate that, but they can't simulate the speeds. They could sit like on wingtips of jets and stuff. The little drones, the big drones couldn't do that. No. The kind that actually have the fuel to do what we're talking about probably couldn't do it. We have drones of every shape and size imaginable. They this big to as big as a damn F-35. They got the new ones that are going to run wingmen for the F-35s. So these are going to be AI wingmen.
Wow.
See, that makes me a little bit nervous. What happens if the Chinese guy hacks it? Because Chinese guy's pretty good at hacking. So I'm thinking, whoa, wait a minute now. I just gave him two F-35s to chase me down with. You'll have to have built-in self-destruct, I guess. No, I'm laughing, Mark, but it's true. I mean, we don't know, man. These things, because if the guy in the F-35 can control them, that means there has to be Wi-Fi. So the only way these things can be truly safe is to be true AI and no portals. Only plug-in portals. Yeah, because if there's Wi-Fi, they can be hacked. I'm not putting anything against Chinese hackers. I've seen Chinese hackers hack some serious shit. I'm not hating on American hackers. I'm just saying Chinese hackers are good. And when it comes to warfare technology, I would want to know it's unhackable. Well, think about drone swarm. So let's say they got that new technology where you can control thousands of drones at one time. You know, like y'all have seen all the little things in the sky. They make dragons and Santa Clauses and Coca-Cola trucks and all kind of shit. Well, you can do that in warfare drones too. So can you imagine you're out there in the field, you got 10 tanks out in the field, and all of a sudden you look up and there's 4,000 drones headed for your ass. Yeah, you're dead. Don't matter how good a tank commander you are, you're dead. You can't fight that. There's no way to defend yourself against that. Maybe if you got phalanxes on your tanks, and even then, I think you're going to have a hard time.
50 cal is the best you're going to do.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I mean, that's, you know. Oh, you mean what you want to be the guy on top of the tank? No, man.
I mean, that's all you can do, right? That's just muscle memory. That's the first thing you're going to do.
Oh,
you can destroy some of them. You ain't going to kill them all, but
yeah, it's a shit. Well, no, that's different, Kirby. Now, if the A-10s are there and the tanks, they got a chance. Well, no, the U.S. is coming up with all kind of ways to destroy drones. If y'all been paying attention, the ships we have in the Middle East right now have been shooting drones. I think they're over 4,000 they've shot down now. So far, they're not letting anything get through. Well, because they have phalanx on their ships. The phalanx shoots an ungodly amount of bullets. It'll even shoot a hypersonic missile down. It's got ungodly. When I say ungodly amount of bullets, it's just like it sounds like a laser. It's just like a bullets, man. So anything flying towards it's getting hit. Well, they got different calibers for different things, and now we're using sweep lasers on two ships that I heard of. A sweep laser is what they call it. It might be called the fan laser. So instead of a single beam going out there, it actually, as it goes out and it gets into the target area, it opens up as a fan, and it just goes through. And I don't think it's physically burning them out. I think it's like EMPing them out. Actually, I think it's burning out its electronics. Is what I think's going on there. There's lots of ways to take down electronic drones, and little drones aren't going to be shielded because they won't be able to fly. The technology today. Look, when I was a kid, I always knew we were going to get. We were going to have. Transformer technology. We're well on our way to that now. Drones are great, and drones can do a lot of things. And we got all kind of. We've been using drones to keep an eye on everybody on the planet now for 20 years. Why do you think our drones are so much better than everybody else's? Why do you think Iran was so happy when they finally got hold of one of ours? They were like, "Oh my God, we're going to step up 20 years just in design."
Yeah. Next thing you know, they're selling drones to Russia, right?
I know, and they are too. And sometimes I wonder. If one of these politicians just didn't order that shit. Oh, well, I owe this Chinese guy for this, that, other thing. Why don't we have a drone go down here? And because, we really hadn't been losing any of them drones, and it was kind of funny that we did. Well, okay, Jackie, the electronics, as long as everything worked right, burnt out automatically. So they have on spy planes and spy ships, they have what they call pull electronics. You pull a cord and it burns out all the electronics. On the drones, it's a little bit different. When the power is cut, they have little things underneath that just pop and melt the electronics out. I don't know what it is. It could be something like what you see in those old flares or something like a magnesium. But I don't think that's what it is. I think it's something else. It's pretty effective apparently because they're not getting any of the real electronics. But I don't think Iran was after the electronics. I think Iran was after the design and engine of the plane. I don't think they really cared about the electronics. They put their own electronics in there, or do like the Chinese did and buy ours and put it in there. Do y'all realize that they can go buy a drone from Kmart, which has probably got better technology inside of it than they're making, and stick it in theirs and make it into a weapon? And here we are, we're selling them all over the place. Oh, well, one of the ones we use for work. So this one originally cost about 7 G's. It can stay in the air for several hours. It can take all kind of pictures. It's about, I don't know, 2 by 2, maybe 2.5 by 2.5, maybe 2 foot tall. It can be used. You can carry stuff with it. Does all kind of great stuff. And really, if you wanted to, you could attach weapons to it. You could attach bombs to it. You could put machine guns on it. You could really do anything you wanted with it, and it'd make a great weapon. And just think if you had 100,000 of them or 500. Really, when we get into a war with China, it's going to be which one of us can produce the most drones. But one saving grace America has over China, even though China has a big surplus of minerals right now, they're having to sell off. America as a country has a great source of minerals, and we have all of South America to choose from. Because China can't really use South America because we'll just sink their ships if they come over here. So it's not going to be a matter of that. So, and Europe's not going to give them anything. So they're in Africa. That's another thing. Trying to get to Africa and back to China, they'll lose too many ships. Because China's trying to move minerals around and fight a war. It's going to be hard because you're going to have to assign cruisers and battleships to your supply ships and still be able to repel American attacks against your main battleships and aircraft carriers. So, and if America just decides to send out an aircraft carrier in 12 different directions, China is screwed. They'll be like, wait, what? Especially if the Allies get in, then there'll be 24 different aircraft carriers. What are you going to do? Pick one and sink it? Because you ain't going to sink the other 23. I don't know. It's crazy. Actually, Jack, a hypersonic missile could have took out an aircraft carrier, at least partly taken out an aircraft carrier, but now with the new systems, they're not going to be able to take them out.
Well, that's the problem. Like, even if they take out one carrier, though, that's a $20 billion bill.
That's a big
for
hit,
the U.S. Yeah. And then like 10 years of rebuilding another one. So they're tough to replace. So while they might not win, that would be catastrophic.
No, it'd be outrageous. Yeah, it'd be, especially if it's one of the newer ones.
Yep.
Remy, we retired the Enterprise. I think she's already being scrapped. And the Nimitz is on its way to retire. Yes. I was stationed on the Nimitz, yes.
Dude, those were the care. I was on the USS Independence, and they were like our sister carriers.
Yeah,
man.
and
seriously,
it is
remember
sad.
them days, man.
Yeah,
man.
Jackie, it is sad because they were like the flagships of the fleets, but it's progress, guys. Well, so we used to keep them. We still do a lot of stuff. We still make stuff in the museums so we can reuse them. Like the USS Alabama's down here, fully operational as a museum. But all her guns are in operation. All her engines are in operation. She could be put to sea and armed in less than 24 hours. And there's 200 or 300 of them around the United States. Well, no. Have you seen a real battleship, Jimmy? They're fucking huge. Them guns can reach in easy 20 miles, man. They'll rain hell. I don't know. They don't care who you are. They'll rain hell on you indiscriminately. Oh, no, they're not going to. The difference is, though, they're double armored, whereas the ships today are not. The ships today use a different type of metal. Those ships are double armored, and we're talking 12, 14 inches thick. So you're not going to just punch a hole inside of one that easy.
Plus, they got a wooden deck on them.
It's the oldest aircraft carrier I think we had was the Enterprise, and I think that's why she's retired. And then following the Nimitz. Well, We got the Gerald Ford and all them fancy dancy aircraft carriers now, and which I'd love to try out the new catapults. I'd love to see how that worked. Those are kinetic; they're not steam driven. They're kinetic driven. It's a different type of catapult than what was on the other ships. This is a new kind of carrier. It's got more guns on it. It's got lasers on it that nobody wants to talk about. It's got all kind of other little extras nobody wants to talk about. It's well defended. Plus, we came to find out that it's got blast ports all the way around underneath the ship, so anything trying to approach from underneath can be blown out of the way. I just found out. Yeah, I just found out about this 2 weeks ago. This was classified. I don't know how this got out. They're 66 inches around, and they can produce something like 100,000 tons of blast. They're hooked directly to the nuclear engines.
Oh, wow.
It honestly looked like they were trying to find a way to lift this carrier out of the water. That's what it looked like they were trying to do. But I don't think they can make the ship stable enough with enough force to lift it. I don't know, but it looked like, because that's what they look like. They look like some kind of engines, but they showed them in action. They were badass. They're on the Gerald Ford, and you can see them when the picture gets up close. Let's see, who is that? Yes, I see that. Hold on, let me grab it. Don't be cussing me. I'll get to it. Ah, damn people. Well, no, there's a lot of links. Oh, hold on. Let me get to this one. What is this one? Did you mean this one? Life on Mars? I mean, life on Mercury? I'm not so much worried about life. Even if there is, I mean, so. I know that's wrong, but do y'all care if there's life on Mercury?
No.
I'm thinking, okay, what is this? Hold on. America's M2 in the Ukraine hands out. What is this? Decimating. Oh, the M2 is decimating Russia troops. The M2S. The M2S is decimating Russia troops. Well, the M2S isn't even a tank, right? Isn't it
it's a Bradley, right?
Yeah, it's the ones with the machine guns on them, right? Not the
30 millimeter Bushmaster chain gun.
Yeah. And it looks like hell, I'll tell you that. Looks like it's been through hell. We must have found some old raggedy ass ones that shipped them. This thing looks like it's been through hell, man. And it's smoking black smoke all over the place. Oh, wait, now we gave him some with some big guns on it too. Shit.
Oh, I was wrong. It's a 25 millimeter chain gun, not 30 millimeter.
It's these are, so we sent them some ones with the guns and with the big cannon guns and some with the big. Damn, Russia! They're saying Russia's tanks can't even fight them. So Russia, I see Russia's been trying to cheat and put them kinetic packs around the tops of their tanks. I guess because the Ukraine's been blowing so many tops off of them, but they're not working. Mm-hmm. They're not. For kinetic to work, it has to be, the backside has to be shielded in such a force, in such a type of steel that when the kinetic goes off, it can't penetrate the inner hull. Because if it does, it's actually doing no more harm than a fucking bullet is. Excuse my language, people. Than the charge is. Stop the Russian.
Well, I mean, that's why the tops blow off, because of the overpressure. What happens is the round hits at such a velocity that it goes through the turret and it sucks whatever's inside that turret outside of the hull with because of the overpressure, and produces something called spall. And that's why these things, there's so much pressure that's built up that these things pop off, or the turrets
now
pop
do
off.
you have to have a direct hit on that tank for it to blow the top off?
You have to have a direct hit on the turret.
Okay.
Yeah, because you could also hit the hull, and it's not necessarily going to blow the turret.
Yeah, that's what it says it is, the M2 Bradley.
So it's not even a tank. It's like it's an infantry fighting vehicle.
Yeah. It's just a tracked vehicle, really. Man, they're effing these Russian tanks up something fierce, man. So when I look at these Russian tanks, these look like tanks that are more designed for a war that's being fought over a distance. These tanks are not for up close and personal what's going on to them right now.
No, that's why the Russians got toasted up in the north, where there's a lot of forests and stuff like that, where we had javelins. Not we, but the
Yeah.
Ukrainians had javelins. Because when I was in the military, I actually fought as the Russians against the U.S. I think it was the 101st Airborne or the 82nd Airborne was testing javelins for the first time. So I was out in the desert, in the Mojave Desert. So the way that I fought them is I would just draw 4-kilometer radius or 4-kilometer diameter circles around all the major terrain features. And then I would just drive outside the circles and they couldn't touch me. But the problem
wow.
is with the in a dense forest, because I was out in the open desert. In a dense forest, you can't do that. So that's why they got shellacked. Now in the south, where like Mariupol is and kind of stretching north, that's like you can see for miles. It's just flat. It's like perfect tank ground. So if you don't have armored vehicles, you're not moving forward very far, very fast. You absolutely need them. So
Yeah, I see a lot of these armored vehicles are ours too, but some of these are European models too. I see on this.
yeah, they're
Going through
using
the-
like Leopard tanks, right? Or Leopard, if you say it in English. But
yeah, that's the German versions. They were. What's that, Jimmy Lee? No, Germany wants to give them more stuff. The U.S. is the one saying, "Wait a minute, man! Stop trying to start World War III, you bastards! You've already started 2 world wars. Stop it!"
yeah, it's rich coming from us, so we blew up their pipeline and then blamed it on them. Right?
Yeah, I know.
I mean, that was just stupid. We almost started like that could have started a major war, potentially World War III, if
think
Putin
that
wasn't more rational or less rational.
Honestly, Sean, I believe that's what we want. Whoever wanted to do is start another world war. They really want to. It just seems like, but it just
A
seems
world
like
war is fine as long as it's not a nuclear world war. But I can't see it not being, because it is, even with China and Russia teaming up, eventually U.S. and its allies are going to overtake them. The only shot they have is to use nukes, and once nukes are released, we're going to use them too. And we might hold off a little bit because the U.S. seems to think that we can take out a lot of Russia's nukes now. But they still have 4,000 nukes that they can shoot at us. That's a lot of nukes. How confident are we that we can take out all 4,000 nukes? And that's not even including the freaking submarines.
Yeah, you miss one, it's over.
Yeah, I mean, so now Elon Musk stepped up and said he would help us. So we might, with Elon, if Elon gets enough satellites up there and our systems are working correctly, we might be able to take out all the continental ballistic nukes, including the submarine launch ones. But there are submarine nukes that are on cruise missiles, and those are flying below 500 feet. So no satellites in space are going to help it. The only thing that can help us there is if we have low ground missile systems like we have in the DC, where there's 10 or 12 of these missile barrages put on bases.
But then if you're the Russians, just throw it on a shipping container.
Yeah, and that's another thing. You can do that.
Anybody who thinks we can stop, we can get crafty and shoot all this stuff down and prevent it from happening is smoking the best weed in the world. Like,
y'all need to be sharing that shit while you're out there.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's just the people. If you're going to do something that malicious, you will find a way. Always.
Yeah, because in the end, we always talk about suitcase nukes, and somebody said, "Well, none's ever gotten the country." I said, "Well, it's a little harder you think to get a nuke into the country because, like New Orleans and Chicago and New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, most of these ports have radiation detectors, so you're not going to be able to sneak them in there." So, but the problem, which you don't understand, ladies and gentlemen, is a country like Russia doesn't actually have to smuggle a nuke in. They can actually build the damn thing in the country, and if you live near a hospital, the radiation won't be detected.
Yeah, look, if I were the Chinese or the Russians, I would just grab one of the 9 million immigrants and say, "Which tunnels did you use, and how'd you get over here?"
Yeah, let me smuggle in one that way. Yeah. And that's true too. And no, Jimmy, they don't have, along the borders, they don't have radiation detectors. You would think we'd have satellites, and we do. Let me change this around. So we do have satellites in space that do sweep the United States and can detect radiation, but it doesn't really matter. So let's say that Jimmy Lou, or let's say that Jose gets in and comes across the border near, say, let's say he crosses the border somewhere in the bottom of Texas. He works his way up to San Antonio, maybe Austin, maybe Dallas, and then nukes. There's no way to stop that. And you just killed. You nuke Dallas and Texas. Let me tell you what, it's not going to matter. We're going to war with somebody. You can bet your ass on it. Somebody had to give somebody that nuke, and we're going to war with somebody. And if we have to take out the Russian, Chinese, and everybody else, we're going to. So it's a dangerous, dangerous game. And if we're going to be playing this kind of chess, I would rather we have someone in that understands the game a little bit better than Cracker Joe. Cracker Joe just makes me nervous. Even if he had all his faculties, I don't think he would be the guy for this kind of challenge. One, I think he's bought by at least 2 countries.
Yeah.
And I don't even think he knows he's bought anymore. I think that's why he called Xi Jinping what did he call him? Not a traitor.
Dictator.
Dictator.
Dictator, yeah.
He's a dictator.
I just remember Blinken's face when he said that. Blinken just went,
Yeah,
oh my
Blinken is scared. You could see, because he's, I mean, look, whatever you think of Blinken, he's one of the only competent people in the administration, and he's looking around
scary
at all these idiots, and he's just like, oh my God, please help me. Like,
yes.
I mean, look, I have I'm not gonna, I shouldn't say. I have a friend who works at like a non-US place, and he's just like, I saw Blinken today, and he was like scared. Like you could see, like the guy was like so nervous, he was shaking, not shaking, but he was super nervous.
Because he should be. Because I was talking, I was talking with a good friend of mine the other day, and her sister works for Boeing out in she's in the East California desert. Out there, they have a big Boeing facility out there that tests all kinds of stuff. Mainly, though, they have a big underground facility. And you can see it because every now and then you'll see the wing come out of the ground where they test the different wing speeds and wings out there. Anyway, she's out there. She's in charge of the scientists. She's a scientist herself. And over the years, she'd been there a long time and working with them a long time. And somehow or another, she became the chick in charge of them for the security part of the scientists. And anyway, long story short, she's like, look, they got us on all kind of alerts. They've got us speeding up on technologies that we don't think would be ready for a decade. They want them ready in 2 years. There's a lot going on. And we get away with talking because of my security clearance, so she can't really get in trouble. But it's just, man, from what she was talking about, they're really, really, there's something else seems to be going on. Like we're, and the types of technology she's talking about are super technologies. These are technologies that sound like they could be severe damage, like take out a half a country. And it doesn't even sound like
weather weapons and earthquake.
Yeah, because it doesn't sound like a bomb. It sounds like something else. Well, Jimmy, maybe it is the tungsten rods, but even those, I don't know who. Oh no, Space Command has control over them now. Oh yeah, they took control of those satellites. I heard that just 2 days ago. Yeah, they have control over it. They took away the, DARPA's little plane. Space Command took it away from them. DARPA must have, DARPA got pissed, man. You took it our spy plane? No, yes, we're taking it. It's our toy now. And you work for us now, DARPA, so get that shit in your head. Trump, everybody made fun of Trump when he came up with Space Command. But I remember when Joe Biden was reading about it, he was like, no, this is something we really need. So it's what people make fun of.
Because the Air Force kept throwing money into like the next generation fighter. Yeah. And they were not spending sufficiently on, space operations and stuff like that. They need to. So I think, yeah.
And it's funny about me. I would have thought by now the Navy and the Air Force would be fighting to see who was going to take over space first, because both of them are going to get up there and want to be in charge of space. It's going to be one of them fights. No, we want to be in charge of space. No, we're going to be in charge. So Space Command was the way to go. Now, neither one of them can be in charge. They can just work for Space Command. No, Space Command is going to be in charge of anything. Defense of the United States, defense of the defense from outer space. I heard just a couple of weeks ago that Space Command was given control of Pine Gap in Australia. Pine Gap is a joint British defense of outer space. Yeah. Yes. They took over a significant facility there. This is a facility that's supposed to save us if bad aliens come from deep space, because we keep broadcasting messages all over the freaking world. I mean, people, do you realize we're like a beacon in space going, bing, bing, please invade us. Bing, bing, please screw us. Bing, bing, please invade us. Right now, thanks to Hitler, it is now almost 100 light years out. Do you know how many planets are between us and the end of the signal? There's tens of thousands. We have no idea who's living on these planets. And we have no, and they might get aggravated when they hear "I Love Lucy" one morning screaming over their radio or TV or something.
But if they're more advanced, it's unlikely they're using radio waves anymore.
Well,
right?
they might not be using them, but they might be scanning them.
Yeah, that's possible.
Because when you're looking, it depends. So if you're a life that developed with radio, then you'll probably always be scanning. Because even us, as we're moving away from radio waves more into light waves, we're going to keep scanning radio waves because we think that lesser species like ourselves will probably use it first, which no one knows if that's true or not. You may divide. I don't know. I mean, what's to say that a world wouldn't develop light technology just like we developed radio technology? You know, there's nothing that could say that couldn't have happened.
Or they come up with quantum mechanics at the same time they come up with electromagnetism, right?
Yeah. So you just never know. It's going to be hard to judge another world at how they may develop, and we don't know what their needs are. As a society, we need certain things. Excuse me. We need certain things to survive and make it, and we know how the universe works. Our universe works. Well, they may need different things, and their universe may work a little bit different than ours. Carol, they do expect that they're going to find, and I said this 30 years ago, that they're going to find life on quite a few places inside our solar system. And they think that more than likely, life is going to be the norm instead of the ad-norm. Now, I said this 3 decades ago, but
I mean, NASA already found life. Remember that experiment they did with that rock in Mars or whatever?
Yeah.
They found it was quote unquote inconclusive because they had like 6 samples and they used 3 samples they put water on, right? So we have organisms up in I don't know if it's in the North Pole or in Antarctica, but instead of water they use peroxide for kind of liquid transport.
Yeah,
so if you were to capture one of those things and pour water on it, you'd kill it. So chances are we discovered life on Mars already, and NASA messed up the experiment by mixing those 3 samples with water.
And they might have, because I mean, so Viking 1 lands there. And wait, am I getting them confused? I always get those.
No, that's right. Yeah, Viking is Mars.
So Viking 1 lands there. It lands there. It's there a couple of days, and on the way down, they hadn't analyzed it, but on the way down, it went through 2 plumes. One was an oxygen plume, which NASA was like, "Oh, it must have been a leaky tank." That's their words. And then they went through a methane plume. Well, guess what? There's nothing on Viking that has methane, so they're kind of like, "Well, what the shit's going on here?"
And by the way, the methane on Mars is also seasonal. There's a methane cycle.
Yeah. So it seems to be that something is living and dying and creating methane. Because dying vegetation, as we know down here in the deep south, creates methane. And it causes fires as well.
Swamp gas.
Yeah, that's what it is, swamp gas. And it is very ignitable. So
it's kind of ironic, isn't it?
Yes,
isn't it? So it wasn't a UFO, it's swamp gas, right?
And it really is. We're on Mars and it is swamp gas. Well, I said this a long time ago. We know for a fact that there's liquid water. And anybody who looked at Mars and thought there wasn't water on Mars, well, you just had to look at them and say, "Are you just stupid?"
Yeah,
I mean, it's ice caps.
Right.
I said, you got 2 ice caps, and it's not hydrogen ice or this kind of ice. It's actually water ice. We know it melts, and we know it comes back. We know it snows on Mars. It does have cycles. It does have seasons. And we know that it's warm enough to have life. So if something's underground and you've got water and you've got a little bit of heat, you've probably got life. And now that you know that you're creating methane, you're creating heat as well in that same area. There's probably some underground caverns with water sitting in them, or maybe running, from the melt where these things are, where we have life. And I think they're going to find life in a couple of places underground on Mars. But what it's going to be, you mean animal life? They might be animal. There might be some small animals living there. As far as you mean Martians, I don't know. Maybe there are some Martians, but we're probably the Martians, by the way.
Probably. No doubt, Joe. No doubt. We are.
Well, there's some weird stuff with humans, like so the optimal temperature for humans to live in was 63 degrees Fahrenheit, which is what the temperature on Mars was 55 million years ago. It's never been the temperature on Earth, by the way. And humans' biological clocks, for some strange reason, are set to 24 and a quarter hours. In case y'all didn't know, ladies and gentlemen, Earth's biological clock is 23 and 3/4 hours. That's what our rotation clock is. So, for some reason or another, our bodies are half an hour faster than our planet is. What now? Why? Now, recently our planet split up, so maybe our bodies were anticipating to speed up. But why does our body temperature and biological clock match Mars and not Earth? It's a good chance 60, 70 million years ago we were sent here, or even sooner than that, or even later than that, I should say.
Joe, are you familiar with Joe McMoneagle's the remote viewing exercise he did in 1984 for the CIA of Mars?
You know, I'm not familiar with him, but I remember somebody, what's his name? Colonel Ed Dames talking about it. He was on Coast to Coast talking about that particular thing. And when you said the experiment, I realized what it was, but I couldn't remember the name for some reason.
Yeah, so they didn't tell him what he was looking at. They just said, "Here are your coordinates. Tell me what you see."
Find
and then
out what you can find.
he starts describing like this desert environment, these large pyramids. Then he starts describing beings they're part of a dying race, and they're waiting for an expedition to return, and they're just they're sad. There's a geologic problem that they just can't fix. They're looking for a new world. The new world that they found is lots of volcanic activity, things like that. But it started out, they say something like, go back a million years to this location. And I think the location was Cydonia Mensis, where the alleged face of Mars is.
Yeah, well, the face is.
And he's just like, I don't really see much of anything. So they just say, go back as far as you can so that you see people or something like that. And then that's when he started seeing all this stuff. So according to that remote viewing exercise, whatever this species is, was either kind of lying dormant underground and then also sending out people to explore. So, you could easily read into that maybe, and they were much taller, right? 8, 9 feet tall.
Yeah, because they didn't have the confines of the gravity that we had.
Exactly.
Their arms were longer.
So we could be their ancestors. I'm not saying we are, but that's like
well, a lot of people seem to think the tall grays or Martians. So, ladies and gentlemen, y'all forget. Okay, so it could be all three of the races we talk about are from this solar system. And what I mean by that is there used to be a planet between Mars and Jupiter. Now, when I was going to school, science was that it was a planet that didn't form. But recently, NASA had to admit, because they didn't do their homework, that guess what? It probably was a planet because certain minerals can only combine under certain amounts of pressure. And an asteroid is not enough pressure. It would have had to been a large body. So they're pretty sure now that it was a planet. We know Mars was a planet. We know Venus is a planet. We know Earth is. So what they think happened, and no one knows for sure, it's sheer speculation, somewhere back in the past, the planet between Mars and Jupiter blew up. Whether it was from a war or a catastrophe or a giant asteroid, or if it was simply just the tidal forces from Jupiter pulling on it, it was destroyed. Now we know that. We also know the moons of Phobos and whatchamacallit are orbiting Mars right now, which are from that asteroid belt from that planet. So as far as we know, when that thing blew up, it may have taken out Earth, Mars, and Venus all at the same time, and which all three planets did seem to go catastrophic around the same time, around 50 to 60 million years ago, all probably from major asteroid impacts. We know the one that hit Mars that created Olympus Mons was huge, and we know it probably spewed out more than half of the magma in the planet probably went into space, and we know a lot of those rocks had made it to Earth because we found thousands of them over the years. We know Venus's upper atmosphere is identical to Earth's, which means that sometime in its past, it was a planet like this one. Did it have a moon? We don't know, but it was a lot like this planet is today. So you had 3 planets, maybe 4, that probably sustained life. And then whatever happened, and this is the survivors. Now, will we Martians send here, or we do know the stories of Atlantis where there was an advanced race living here that were destroyed, and then we would have went backwards. People always remember this. The more advanced you get, the easier it is to go backwards in technology. And what I mean by that is, in 1,000 years from now, everything on this planet is going to be digital. Most people won't even know what a freaking paperback book is. If we go catastrophic, then if you can't access that technology within just 2 or 3 generations, you will forget how to build vehicles. You will forget how to build cars. You'll forget how to make electricity. You'll be back in the Stone Age, and you'll be flipping your ass all the way back around.
We're already doing that. I think like Los Alamos National Lab, you had some. I'm trying to find a good word for it. So, but like some clowns like put together 2 sources of plutonium, right? Like too much plutonium in one room, which can, people who are working on the Manhattan Project would know that you don't do that because it increases the probability they go critical.
Yeah.
Right. But like that happened, and these Muldoons like just didn't like. We're forgetting how to do a ton of different things.
Well, shit, we forgot how to build rockets to go to the moon.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, how do we do that? And
100%.
where did all the paperwork going at? I know Vernon von Braun kept great notes because I know Carolyn Roslin, who was his assistant's assistant. And so I know for a fact he kept, I've talked to Carolyn about this several times. And she also told me, and, I read some of von Braun's writing. So most Americans don't know this because for some reason our government don't want to tell you, but von Braun was going to Mars, not to the moon. The moon was just a stepping stone, people.
Mm-hmm.
It's all the moon was supposed to be, was just a stopover to make sure everything worked correctly, and we were supposed to go to Mars. Now, in his writings, he also asked why at Apollo 17, 18, 19, and 20 were paid for. Bought and paid for. Crews were trained, and the missions were paid for, and we didn't go.
Oh, no, we
didn't
went.
even make it.
No, there was a quarter. So, okay, I'm going to give you my source. So,
Right, go.
Lynn Buchanan, he's a famous remote viewer, again, who worked for DIA, all this stuff. He claims to have a mission patch for either Apollo 19 or Apollo 20, which was a classified mission. It wasn't public.
I have heard that. I see. I can't rule it out because I have, and that was the funny part was that's what I had actually heard the first time. That so Jimmy Reed sent me what appeared to be an Apollo 19 because we used to collect all the patches. We had everything from Mercury all the way up, and so I was like, wow, this looks cool. And then I read the actual patch, and I was like, well, shit, what is this? He said, Joe, this was supposed to have flown. So we started backtracking and seeing. I got a lot of friends in the government. I got a lot of friends in space and science. And we started backtracking to see if we could find out where the parts were being stored. So then we could verify whether the fuckers actually flew or not. Well, come for 18. So when we tracked down 18, supposedly it had already been scrapped and there was no record of the parts or where they went. So right off the bat, red flag, whoop, 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 come on, people. Who did you sell the shit to? Who did you give it to? Where did you demo it at? So then a friend of ours who worked in Florida at the base called Kennedy he goes, look, there's a place over here where we store and scrap stuff like that near one of the launch pads. So he went out there with a camera and was making videos, which he got in trouble for, but there wasn't nothing there. There was 2 empty launch pad sites where they were building some type of new, looked like a new holding system for a rocket, but there wasn't nothing else. So we called around and talked to a friend of mine in Houston. He's like, Joe, he said, he that's when he stopped me. He said, the rumor is those 3 flew on special missions that, he said they flew on special missions for what Neil Armstrong said happened on the moon, that we were waved off the moon by extraterrestrials. He said that on 4 different occasions. He went public and said that this guy was running to be a senator and was up there talking about aliens and still won, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. He actually became a senator. And because he said that aliens asked us not to come back to the moon. Well, no, we went to the moon 4 more times after that. No, 5 more times. Well, 13 didn't make it, did it? So it was 11, 12, 14, 15, 16, and 17 made it. 13 had to come home because of other problems, whatever that may have been. And there were several UFOs reported on 13, by the way. But I heard stories about 18, 19, and 20 flying, but 19 and 20 I'd actually heard about patches on. 18 I hadn't heard anything about. So when I met Edgar Mitchell in DC, I just asked him point blank. I looked up at him. I said, did they fly or not? I said, I won't write an article on it. I said, I'm not going to make it public. I said, it's not that. I said, I talked to some people who had talked with Neil Armstrong about what he said, and I wanted to know what you thought about that. And he said, no, he said it. He said it more than once. And even Buzz Aldrin, who said we never went to the moon, said, yes, he said it more than one time. So I was kind of like, well, that was nice to know that he did it. And then he said there was an arrangement made to meet with them on the other side of the moon, which everybody refers to the dark side of the moon. Well, it's not always dark. It's like the other side. Sometimes the sun's hitting it, sometimes it's not. But anyway, enough about that.
But the reason it's interesting is because it's tidally locked to the Earth. Like you never always see the same face of the moon, which is kind of odd.
Yeah, and it is weird, and it's odd that the moon's probably hollow because it's pinged several
times. It rang like a
now.
bell. Yeah, they pinged it, and it rang like a bell.
So it's a little bit odd. What do you mean, it's Doctor Who? It's an egg. I remember that episode. Yeah, I do. I remember that episode. Anyway, it was 2 Doctor Who episodes like that. But anyway, enough about that. I don't know, guys. It's all of this is very strange. There's a lot of weirdness going on right now in the world and the universe, for that matter. We need to get into space to survive, and not just our solar system. So, in 3.3 billion years, our sun's going to go red giant, and it's going to gulp Earth. It's just going to eat it. But Mars and especially the moons around the moons around Saturn and Jupiter will all become inhabitable planets. They'll be much warmer. They'll start to melt, and they'll still have 2 or 3 billion years of life left with this red giant sun in our solar system. Yes. So
you just have to get over all the radiation that's spewing at you from Jupiter, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. You'll have to. Actually, that is true. One of was it Io? No, it's not Io. It's one of the other ones. The atmosphere they think may actually be thick enough to protect you. We don't know until we go. They can speculate till they're blue in the face. Until we actually go there, we don't know. And yes, they have found signs of life on. Okay, let me rephrase that. So, SETI and them decided to change the way, and NASA did too. They changed the way they're going to look for life. They decided to include chemicals that might be being made by technologically advanced societies. And as soon as they did it, they found 4 planets that look like they could be some type of technological life on the planet, meaning that there's life there with technology. Yeah, so NASA don't even know what to think about that shit. They're like, wait a minute, we weren't supposed to find that. Because NASA gets this up. It's like certain things that get leaked, like from JPL. So JPL and Milan do almost all the pictures from space. They go through them before they go to anybody else. And because there's so many of them, from time to time, some are slipped. And then from time to time, people over there who may be sympathetic to the cause lets them out. But there's been a lot of pictures get out there, like the pyramids. So pyramids are one of my favorite things. All right. You convince me that they're not 5-sided pyramids. And you look. They're just 3 of them are just perfect. I mean, there's no way they're naturally made. There's no way that was ever naturally made. And when you look at the width from the base to the top, all the way around is exactly the same. Wind's not going to do that. I hate to be the heartbreaker of science here, but it's just not going to happen. And then it's not even that. You look, it's like there's a breezeway, and it looks like there's ruins on each side with what looks to be a cut breezeway through the middle with stone sides. That's just not going to happen in nature. People, we live on a planet that's very active, and we don't see that shit here. I have no doubt that there was some type of life on Mars. When, where, if it's still there, I don't know. But when I always talk about how our government's going to help us through the awakening process, through the desensitization process, that's how they got to do it. I mean, they have to find life that's not going to hurt us. Maybe a little rat or a little mouse or some grass or some weeds or some shit on Mars, some little vegetation to prove that there's life other than this planet. Then their next phase, after they show us that there is life out there, we will find an artifact. Because that's also non-threatening. It's old, million-year-old artifact. There's nothing to be scared of there. And then we will probably actually have our first real extraterrestrial contact. I would think by now we'd be desensitized, but when I look around at the world, Americans about half of us are about ready for contact. About half of Europe is. Nobody in Russia is. Nobody in China is. Nobody in India is. Okay, it's not that bad, but out of the 8 billion people that live on this planet, I'd say about 2.5 billion are ready for contact, and the rest are going to freak out and think it's either the second coming or demons or God knows what. We're just, it's a shame that we live in the year 2024 and our education seems to have backwards some or moved in a different way. It's like we're not keeping up with what we should be. We just don't seem to be at the educational level we should be for the type of technology we have. It's weird. I mean, and this has always cracked me up too. So you've got all these astronauts, over 100 now, not including other ones from other countries, that have told you we have seen extraterrestrials, and we're like, oh, you're crazy. Now, people, do you know we train and pay these guys to go look for ET? Right, that's what we do. SETI, we pay and train people at SETI to go look for ET, and when they find it, we're like, oh no. Make up your mind, people. Do you want to know or do you not want to know? I want to know. I want to know. I want George W. Bush. I'm sorry. I want J. Crackerhead Biden to come on stage and say, "X, did you know extraterrestrials are real? And they're here visiting our planet, and they are stealing our women and raping them." Wait, what, Biden? Oh no, they're stealing our women and rubbing their hands in their hair because they're weirdos. I don't know, people. Yeah, no, we got time. I'll get a couple more stories and I'll see what you're whining about. But it's what is this? Skyranger 30 A1 live fire test leads enthusiastic demand across Europe. Oh, this is this thing that shoots down everything that goes around it. Yeah, it's kind of cool. What's this one? Here we go. What is this? Hold on. What does this say? Putin allies make ominous nuclear threat. You know, Putin never really is the one that actually makes a threat. It's all his buddies. I say you know what I say? The next one of his buddies that makes a threat like that, we just have his ass assassinated. I guess there won't be no more threats. Now, this is an interesting one. We know Sean lives out there in Cali hell. So the Supreme Court told California that they couldn't put this new gun law into effect because it was discriminatory. So what did California do? But put the gun law into effect. So the Supreme Court's like, well, somebody's going to go to jail now because you just broke a demand from the Supreme Court. I mean, that was just bad all the way down. And so they called the DOJ. So the DOJ has no choice. He has to do something about it because they're breaking the law. There's no court hide in the DOJ, and the president can't override the Supreme Court. So the DOJ has to go take care of California now. No, not the California.
Yeah, well, DOJ's too overwhelmed in tracking down grandmas who were using their walker to walk on the grounds in front of the Capitol building on January 6th. Yeah, that's what they don't have enough resources to track this other thing.
Frankie, if you take your gun and you go into one of these places that California said you can't, even though the federal government says you can, you will have a lawsuit if they arrest you, which they're going to probably do. You'll have a major lawsuit because they lost the case. They took it all the way to the Supreme Court and they lost. Because you can't tell. Okay, there are some places I personally think you should never be allowed to carry a gun. A church, no, boo. A ballroom, no, definitely boo. What do you mean? Voting booth? I don't know. I want to bring my gun in a voting booth in case one of the crazy bastard voters goes nuts. I might have to put them down, man. Oh, I'm voting for Biden 100 times. No, you're not. Pow! Just into that. No, but there are, ballrooms, guns, casinos. Guns shouldn't be allowed. And even though I forgot a couple times to carry my gun into the casino. Banks, they probably shouldn't be allowed, even though I have forgotten to carry mine into the bank a few times. Last time I had it on my side, and the guard went to tell me something, and I looked at him, and he was like, he just looked away from me. I was like, if he'd have told me, I would have went and put it back in the car. I just forget because I'm wearing a lot, and I just forget it's there sometimes. It's when you're in New Orleans, you want your gun close by. Up here, where I live, you don't really need it. But down there, you need to be carrying that bitch because it is a deterrent. There's a lot of carjacks, a lot of idiots. I had a guy we were on in a really rich neighborhood working. He was going to carjack the car. It was so funny. He ran up to the light. He's got a knife about yay long. And I'm thinking what I want to do about it, right? He's in special forces training. I'm thinking, I said, nah. He came up, and when he did, I just grabbed his arm, bent the knife back, and I pulled out Martha, and I said, I think you're dead. And my partner, my business partner, he is laughing his nuts off. He's like, Joe, let him go. I said, no, I think it's just he's got a knife in his hand. He tried to kill me. I said, I think we should let him meet his maker. I'm pretty sure he pooped all over himself because I smelled something funny. And while I'm holding him, you see bloop, 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 bloop. And the PD pulls up and he pulls up. So I slid my gun back down in the thing. The cop comes up. And I said, look, your boy tried to carjack me. And I had to do a report. I never even told him I had my gun. Neither did the kid, for that matter. I guess he didn't want to admit what went down. And but people, I tell this to all of you, you never know who you're dealing with. I look like a quiet man, an old man, but you better watch your ass around me, is all I can tell you. And in New Orleans, just be careful. Yeah, if you're traveling in New Orleans, be careful. Travel with friends. All right, hold on. We're going to get some more in. Let's see what this one is.
I got to go. Joe, I got to go, buddy.
All right, be good. Yeah, we out here in like 10 minutes ourselves, so be good. Thanks for hanging out, Sean.
No, thank you, Sean.
Sean.
Okay,
good.
I will.
World's first hydrogen-powered vehicle takes off and landing aircraft debut. Ooh, look how pretty it is. Oh, well, good. Hydrogen powered. I hope all the airports got hydrogen tanks in it. I mean, I'm all for hydrogen power. I've never been against it. And California used to be for it. And then California lost its effing mind. I mean, they were doing the hydrogen highway and stuff. And then they got all electrical on everybody. Russia spent over $500 million on a single airstrike against the Ukrainians. How long can they afford to do? Yeah. One airstrike, $500 million. How long can they really? I mean, Russia's poor. How long can they keep affording this? I mean, they're not really selling much gas.
Oh, they're selling it to China, and China for discount.
Yeah, well, Trump did that thing where Russia can't sell its gas for more than $60 a barrel. When he did that sanction thing, he did it to where if anybody does it, they would get sanctioned too. If anybody broke the agreement. Well, guys, it may not matter because oil was at $70 a barrel just recently, so it was coming down. I think it went back up, but what is it? Oh, I did see that picture. The one of Beijing building fake armada of U.S. warships. Yeah, they're trying to figure out a way to take out our ships, but what they don't understand is there's no way their little fake warships is going to be able to predict what our equipment on board those ships are going to do. They can try to simulate it, but until they're actually in the way of 15 phalanx missiles batteries coming off of 6 different ships with God knows how many missiles flying in the air, and then a whole shitload of airplanes. I'm not thinking they're quite ready for what they think they're ready for.
Well, good news for the Chinese. They're going to find out for real in April.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's Judge Cannon shuts down Jack Smith's efforts to get Trump's lawyer communications. Oh, to get his communications. Yeah, you can't see Trump's lawyer's communications. What I mean, some of the things I hear these Democrats do, they think we live in a communist country.
Like Joe, literally, this is what the case is about. If you go and sell your house, right, you're going to ask for something over what its appraisal value is, and the buyer is going to ask for something that's under what you're asking for, and they're going to push down the price, and you're going to push up the price. That's literally all he did. And they're like, "Oh, you lied about the value of your, Mar-a-Lago." And the other thing too is he already paid off the loan with interest, so like nobody was harmed by whatever happened.
And that's the other thing. So and some of the jury people have said that. So when I heard some federal judges in New York, or I think was it Ninth Circuit or Fifth Circuit, one of them, were talking about this case, and they were already leaning, saying, well, if for some reason Trump loses, which they would be surprised, he said, but if they do, he said, if it comes to us, he's going to get the appeal. He said, because, they all said the same things, and because of what the judge and the prosecutor had said about Trump, they all agreed that he should have already took themselves off the case, and they just didn't. They're just like, well, we don't have to do that. We're special. I can still be a judge even though I hate the bastard with all my life and all my breath. Really, you can be nonpartisan and hate the man, right? I'm not thinking so. I'm not believing it. What's that, Mikey? North Korea opens borders for tourism after nearly 4 years to Russians. I wouldn't call that opening for tourism. Have I ever been through the Panama Canal? Yes, when I was in the Navy. Yes, no, not on the Nimitz. Actually, I think the Nimitz was too big to go through the canal. Yeah, we were meeting her on the other side. We took I think it was a cruiser, actually. Yes. Well, they didn't need us for what we were doing, or what they were doing, actually. Well, the Navy's
so the Nimitz
strange.
has to go all the way around South.
I'm pretty
South
sure.
America.
I'm pretty sure it was. I was like, because I remember we were going somewhere, and they said, okay, no, we're going to go around. So, and I assumed, which is probably what it was just too big to go through. Because when that was originally built, it was built for some pretty big ships, but I don't know if it was built for something that big. And I know certain types of tankers can't go through, and other types of ships can't get through. Fort hidden inside the walls of his house. Wait, what? Man finds 253-year-old fort hidden inside the walls of his house. Oh, okay. I didn't quite understand what they said.
Yeah, it's like a Revolutionary War fort, I think.
Starless galaxy discovered after pointing telescope in the wrong direction. Well, what happened there if it don't have any stars? That's kind of scary.
Yeah, how's a galaxy if it doesn't have any stars?
That's what I was thinking.
Black hole.
It looked like just a bunch of gas. Isn't that a nebula?
Yeah.
Owners for China. Let's see. Western companies have exited Russia in droves. New companies with owners from China. Yeah, China sucks, people. It's when it comes to that kind of stuff, I wouldn't trust them. Let's see them make you a McDonald's. So when McDonald's and all them companies left Russia immediately tried to emulate all of these restaurants. And look, a quarter pound is a quarter pound. You're gonna have to get that shit from McDonald's. They squeeze it out of some weird pink shit. China and Russia just not going to be able to make it the same way. Well, no, I was a GM for McDonald's way back. I mean, this was before time started, but no, really, it was way back. It's I even went to Hamburger College. Do you know they paid me? I can't tell you what they paid me to go to Hamburger College, but anyway, they paid me really good. I had a beach store, and we're talking a long time ago, before the moon even started to rise. They paid me $125 plus bonus. And that was outrageously high. Even today, some of the managers only make 60 or 80. Well, certain venues make way bigger. Well, our store back then was making $1 million a month. Today, that would translate to about $5 million a month. Clear profit. Yeah, so you get special things when your stores run that good. Wait, what? Donald Trump's opponent's sudden arrest raises questions. Donald Trump's what opponent? I ain't heard nobody getting arrested today. Y'all heard anybody getting arrested? Who is this? Oh, wait. John Anthony Castro. And who is, whatever, who the hell we care about. This wasn't an opponent. People, you see, I hate stories like that. That just pisses me off. That's not a real story. That's one of those bait and switch. Classified UFO breaching House members emerge with mixed feelings. That's because you need to talk to JoJo. Anyway, moving on from that. Electric airplane. So this electric airplane's got to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 engines to keep it in the air. That would just make me nervous. Where 2 jet engines fly all over the world, this thing's going to have 8 and refuel every few hundred miles. Mark, a couple of questions and we'll go. So what you asked was, can Russia's missiles reach us? Easy. They can reach anything, anywhere in the continental U.S. Anywhere. Problem for them is their missiles have to go into space and come back, which gives our missile systems lots of times to knock them out the sky. But now we got Elon Musk's missile defense shield. Yes. So he can aim Starlink at any missile and crash it into it. Yeah, he's already threatened Putin to do it. Yeah, he's already threatened him. He said, "You launch a missile at the United States, I will knock it out the air with one of my satellites." And currently, he's got more satellites in space than Russia has missiles. And he can build them and put them in space much faster than Russia can build missiles. He also told Xi Jinping that too. So he's basically taken these two countries' continental ballistic missiles out of play, which makes our lives much easier. Yeah, it makes our lives much easier. Who would have known the genius guy who's trying to give you internet could use the internet things and knock a continental ballistic missile out of space?
Yeah, but here's the problem, though. Elon Musk doesn't have the necessarily have the resources of the DoD to protect him. So what's to stop the Russians or the Chinese from hacking into his systems?
That's the thing. They've tried. Russia tried, and Elon turned it around and hacked their system. And he's got some pretty serious software writers. I mean, he has to for what he does. No, they fight with China all the time. It's but you never know, and that's something you got to be worried about because But if China or Russia, well, Russia's been trying to hack the which I was going to call it Skynet. Shit. Anyway, they've been trying to hack Elon satellites for a while now, ever since Elon told Russia to go F themselves about buying them and shit and not giving them to the Ukrainian. And then, so Russia's been trying to hack them. So they haven't really had any luck. China's tried a few times too. And China and Elon's got into it a few times. But China also told Xi Jinping, he said, if your people keep trying to hack my places, I'm going to use all of my resources to just start hacking everything y'all have. Mm-hmm. So do you want to get in a big fight with the richest man in the world and the government backing them up to start hacking your ass all over the place? Even China would have a hard time defending. It would take all of their people that they use for other stuff to defend them. China, it's a tough thing because China's constantly always trying to get into our shit. That's why so much of their stuff looks like ours. They're either stealing it or buying it or hacking it, one or the other. And they're still 20 years behind us. Yeah, I know. Isn't that a bitch? I don't trust China as far as I can throw. I got friends over there. I was offered a good gig to go speak over there for 2 years. I turned it down because I don't find it a stable place for humans. I mean, Americans, sorry. I said humans, but no, I'm serious. I wouldn't. I talked with them, and it was good money. It's $250,000 a year. Plus, they would let you go places and take you tourism and pay for everything. But the problem is one, if any kind of conflict starts, I'm an American. Do I really want to be in China? I'll be out there busting rocks in my old ass. So I just don't feel with the world stage. I just don't feel confident to be hanging out over there. And I'd be crossing several of their provinces, several of their cities, and if America was pissing off, and right now America is pissing off China, so you might have some animosity amongst the people. It's not worth it. Because I'd like to live. Don't matter how much money you make. If you can't live and spend it, what the hell's having it for? No, I don't want to leave it to my kids. Man, don't take that shit. We're going to spend every dollar if I leave. Get the hell out of here. I don't have babies. My son is fully ass grown. He's 37 years old. Yes, he's not a baby. No, he's a grown ass man. He's not a baby. What's that, Jimmy Reed? Wait, what? Sean's like 80. Yeah, he's old as dirt. I'm old as the sky. He's just old as dirt. So he's still a young old. That's all. No, really, what do you want? You mean, do we think the government's just going to say, oh, aliens are real and we want you to come see them and this is what they're here for? And no. Okay, that's what I tell people all the time. You got to give the government something. What are you going to give the government in return for them confessing that extraterrestrials are real? Are you going to make anybody who's ever been taken by an extraterrestrial, are you going to make it where they're protected? The government can't be sued, or where every place the government's lied to us about this, we can't sue them? I mean, they're not. Why would they tell us? I mean, that means they've been keeping. Yeah, I mean, they have been keeping this secret from me. So y'all gonna have to figure out. You're gonna have to give them something if you want. If you want the Fed to fess up, you're going to have to sign something over saying, okay, we're not going to hold anybody responsible for all the lies we've been being told for, well, since America's been created, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Are y'all willing to do that? I know a lot of people I know who say they've been taken are pissed and they're not going to give up shit. They want retribution. Retribution. Man, my English is gone tonight. Retribution. Yeah, I don't know. I can't speak tonight for some reason. It's
Or even the people who were killed for
Yeah.
leaking some of the programs, right?
Yeah, or people that were driven insane or other stuff done
Yeah.
to them. Well, I mean, guys, all the bullshit with Roswell. I mean, all the bullshit with Shag Harbor, with the Phoenix Lights. We don't even know if half of them weren't even probably aliens, but still, you're gonna have to give them clemency. You're gonna have to let them off, just plain and simple. You're going to have to give the U.S. government a clean bill of health. And in all fairness, a lot of the people alive today were not the people who put this shit in, but they were the people who kept it alive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just because Joe Blow in 1955 started this program, somebody's been keeping that program alive all the way until 2024. So, I mean, are y'all willing to say, okay, we forgive you, Uncle Sam, and we're not going to come sue you out of existence. And we're not going to be mad that you let aliens come in my house and take me and my children and do God knows what to us. Yeah, see, none of y'all are ready for that. That's the problem. And the government's not going to tell us until you're right now, if Joe Biden got on stage tomorrow and said, look, I will tell you everything we know about extraterrestrials, but you cannot hold us responsible for anything. Are y'all willing to say yes on that? It'd have to be a vote. Let the country vote. I don't think the country's going to go for it. I think in the end, the country's going to want some kind of revenge. This country does not like being lied to. It just doesn't. Even with the crazy Z-Gens today, even they don't like being lied to. And we get tired of being lied to about stupid shit. Well, let's look at it this way. So let's say there's extraterrestrials. They haven't eaten us, Sean. And Sean looks pretty healthy and pretty ready to be eaten up. So, I mean, they haven't eaten us. He's got kids and wives and dogs. He got like 8 wives or some shit. So he could probably feed a family of aliens. The point I'm making is you have to judge them by their actions. So we're not going to talk about alien abductions. If you join them by the actions, if you leave alien abductions out of it, you judge them just by their actions. Okay, we know they've shut down nuclear silo bases. We know they've interfered with this, interfered with that. We know they've been on our planet and have picked up citizens. So is that just curiosity? But when you throw in alien abductions, then it's something taking people against their will. Even if the people swear they made some kind of deal with them in another life, which we're not going to go there either.
Yeah, could you imagine that, Joe, if someone kidnapped you, like another human kidnapped you, and, was doing medical procedures, and when you said, this hurts, this is terrifying, stop, they're like, don't worry, you agreed to this. You agreed to this in a pre-life contract.
I'd be like, let me get my fucking gun. We'll show you what I agreed to, people.
Yeah, that person would be locked up faster than you could say the word locked up.
Yeah, it's a sad thing, and but nobody's really ready to say, okay, we're going to forgive them and we're not going to do it. And then there's the other problem with religion, guys. Religion. So even though we're trying to force Christianity and agreeing that like the mini mansions is aliens, it's hard. People don't, and then they want to tell me that they're demons. They're not aliens. I said, why are they flying UFOs? Well, because it's to trick you. I said, wait. I said, so the crazy demon over there that can do anything it wants and scare it, but Jesus out of it is going to go get an alien and perform experiments when he could do far worse than that. So I'm kind of thinking that doesn't make any sense. I mean, really, people that are demons, why would they want to hide their demoness self? That would be kind of cowardly to start off with. I don't think aliens are demons. I'm sorry. What do you mean interdimensional? It's look, I'm not going to rule out that one or two or one of these species couldn't be interdimensional. It just seems like when you hear people talk about the reptilians, the greys, or the humans, that it feels more from our home galaxy.
It could also be all of the above, Joe.
It could be all of the above too.
Right, because remember, like back in the 40s, people would see UFOs with rivets. right?
Yes.
And back in the 1890s, they would see UFOs as airships. So there's some phenomena that may not necessarily be ET that masks itself as ET, but I don't think all of it is,
No, you're
and it could
right.
be an interdimensional thing. It could be a spiritual thing. It could be an advanced species that is more advanced in both technology and, non-physical stuff. And, it's both. So I think it's a variety of things. I don't think it's all one thing.
Yeah, and it's just something we're just as a species we're going to just have to work through slowly but surely. And
Right.
what do you mean, Carol? Look, I believe you've had contact. I'm not saying you didn't have contact, and if you were taking it's fun. I mean, I've polygraphed people and voice stress people, and they've passed. So it's not that I don't believe, and I've seen people take polygraphs and pass and voice stress, and I don't do polygraphs. That's from another person. So if you got a good polygraph or somebody like me who's doing voice stress for a long time, it's not hard to tell if someone's lying pretty quickly. And when you allow me to do hypnosis along with voice stress, you're pretty much opening your soul up to me and saying, okay, let's see what's in there. Well, Jackie, we don't. Okay, real quick, because we ain't got time for it, but real quick. So let's say I'm going to hypnotize Sean. So all I'm going to ask Sean, the very first time I ever hypnotized, is Sean, what happened to you on October 15th at 6 p.m.? Because he's told me that something happened to him there. That's all I'm going to ask him the very first time, because I can't use words like extraterrestrial or spaceship or flying saucer. Those are not allowed in my vocabulary because it's tainting his memories. So I'm going to ask him. The voice stress meter is going to be running over here, and he's going to be answering these questions. Or actually, he's just going to be telling me what it is. And then I may stop periodically and bring him down to a little lower setting or put him on a different shelf level. So to look for particular things. And then at the end, I'll say, look, and then I'll ask him to repeat the whole story from the end going backwards. And then after that, we'll get together, we'll sit down, go get some coffee, dinner, breakfast or something, depending on what time it is. And we'll have the whole video, audio, and voice stress. So the voice stress isn't to tell me whether he's lying to tell him the truth. The voice stress is to tell me where there are particular things we need to look for something. So let's say he said, and the light came in the room and this was happening. And all of a sudden you see this meter start to expand. It's not because it's lying. It's because there's a rise in the emotion because something is actually physically going on. So that helps us for the next line of questioning. We'll know there to look at that and say, okay, look, we know in this particular part of whatever was going on to you, you were having this experience and these lights were going on. Did you see a being? Did you see a shape? It allows us to be able to do this without tainting his memories, because I've watched a lot of people do hypnosis work in this field, and I'm going to tell you what, they are effing things up like you wouldn't believe. Like the other day, the guys, he's hypnotized to this lady on TikTok. I was laughing my ass off. Well, ma'am, I got you under there. So what type of extraterrestrials did you see? How long, what type of craft were they in? Could you describe the aliens to me, please? And then he said, well, did they look gray with black eyes? I'm like, really, dude? I mean, you just send her a tape and tell her to repeat it to you. It's just, so it's important. No, we're strict about hypnosis, guys. I'm probably one of the strictest people in the field. Well, because I don't want bullshit. I want the truth. And if the truth turns out to be something like somebody was abused as a child or something other weird shit, then we'll tell you need to go find a psychologist, and we'll know that your truth wasn't alien abduction. It was something else. Because a lot of times alien abduction turns out to be something else. So like a couple of times we've had cases where it was molestation. Well, apparently the extraterrestrial abduction was far worse than the remembering of the molestation. So that's what the cover memory was for them. No, the aliens weren't doing that. It was just something that had happened to them as a child in their life. And bringing it back out sometimes it allows people to deal with it. Sometimes it's too much for people because they've been covering it for so long. So we warn people all the time. Once the genie is out the bottle, there is no putting the bitch back in the bottle. She's out. Whatever it is, whether it's hypnosis, whether it's alien abduction or some other stuff, you have now let the genie out the bottle. There's no putting the genie back. She's there. Yeah, so you're going to have to deal with that demon or whatever it may happen to be. I don't do as much hypnosis as I used to because I'm busier with other stuff. But yes, we do sessions, and we still book sessions. If the organization books you, it's free. If the organization don't book you, it's $250. Yeah. Sessions could last anywhere from 2 to 6 hours. No, it's the same price regardless how long the session lasts. Well, because sometimes y'all will get into stuff and we just need to let it expand on its own. But when we do the resets of questions, so that's like Sean would have done that, and him and I would have went through all of what happened in this thing. We'd have went back for specific stuff. So we'd have put him back under a little bit deeper, a little more solid, and we'd have went through it. I said, okay, well, start telling me about it again. And then when anywhere him and I had discussed, we need to talk about this, we'd stop him right there and have him start looking around, paying more attention, listening for sounds, tasting, smelling, hearing, seeing, whatever he can pick out. And it allows you, when you've got him there, to help them to clear their vision. So I can say it's blurry to you, just concentrate a little harder till your eyes start to focus on what you actually are seeing, and your eyes will focus in on it. I can't not give him a description, or whatever he tells me is useless. If I say, oh, focus in on that gray and tell me what that gray looks like, well, I just told him it was a freaking gray. I mean, and I hear this so much. But anyway, we got to get out of here. I don't know. We will have to talk to Sean. Well, I got to get him hooked up with Michelle, and we'll talk to him about being a regular, coming hanging out with us from time to time. He's got a life, people. He's got a wife. She's mean too. Ooh, shit. She might be mean like mine, man. Ooh, you got to watch him mean. No, I don't. No, I'm teasing. People don't know his wife. She's probably sweet as pie. You idiots, man. Y'all are idiots in this chat. People, again, I seen a couple of y'all make it into the other chat, but try to use the Facebook and the Facebook and the YouTube. It's just easier because Sean can see what I'm talking about when y'all are texting in those chats. Yes. When you're texting in Messenger, again, nobody knows what they're talking about but me. And half the time, I don't know what y'all are talking about. Plus, if you're talking in here, they can feature your questions so that other people watching on Roku and all can see them as well. Yes, isn't that a good idea?
Yeah, the only one I see is Foxy Joe.
Foxy Joe.
I just
Foxy
see
Joe, are you a boy or a girl, Foxy Joe? Being that Joe, Foxy's usually addressing a female, not a male. Oh no, I don't know what Foxy means. I'm not that old. I'm sorry. I forgot. Tomorrow I have Larry Niven joining me on the Arthur's Quill. A lot of y'all should know who Larry Niven is. He's an interesting character.
Lucifer's Hammer is an interesting book that him and Jerry Purnell do.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
There's that and something Ring. John was telling me about a lot.
Ringworld.
Ringworld. So we're going to talk about the science of Ringworld tomorrow. And real quick before we got to go. So I met Larry the first time I ever went to Writers of the Future. I tried talking to this guy like 100. He looked at me like I had the plague or something. I mean, literally, not the COVID, but like some devil plague or some shit. So the second year I went, Joni just grabbed me and looped his arm in him. He said, "You're in charge of Larry for the rest of until we go inside." I'm like, "What?" And then at least I got him to talk to him. I said, "Hey, Larry," and he wasn't scared of me then for some reason. I guess maybe because Joni came by. And I asked him all kind of questions. He is hard to get stuff out of. He's a wealth of information. You just got to get it out of him. Yes, well, y'all get to see it 3 o'clock tomorrow. You can come by and check out the Arthur's Quill with myself and Larry Niven. And people, we tell you all the time, we let people come in and guest host on these shows because these are opportunities for writers and rookies to talk to people that they would not necessarily get to. This is for the people who don't get to win. Well, Sean's got to meet these people. Sean's a winner. He's not like you losers. He's a winner, man. He Writers of the Future. Yeah, writersfuture.com. He's won at Writers of the Futures. Yeah. And so that's just one of them things. You get to meet people that you'd not normally get to meet or talk to or ask questions to, especially if you're an author or an illustrator or something like that. No, it's just a service we offer now. Yeah, well, look, I am burnt out on sci-fi. I need some fucking sci-fi, okay? I need something good. There's nothing good I feel like it's been a decade. COVID come along, they done burnt everybody out. Then the writer's strike comes on, they burnt them out some more. I don't even know when the next real sci-fi is going to hit the air again.
It got super woke too. That's the other.
Oh yeah, and then it got in crazily woke. And I'm not a big woke fan, people. I'm sorry. I'm just not. You mean Dune 2? Dune 2 is coming out this year. I don't know when, but it's going to be out. I thought they said March, but I'd have to check for sure. And it's just Dune. It's not Dune 2, by the way. It's just Dune. part 2 of Dune, I guess. But I'm looking forward to it. I mean, the first one was pretty decent. No, I meant the first part of this Dune was pretty decent. No, I like the original. I'm a classic fan for some
The
reason.
original's still the best. Like,
Yeah,
it was sufficiently creepy to do a pretty good job.
Yes, it was. It was a little weird, and the text still kind of sort of holds up. No, I said kind of sort of before y'all get cussing at me.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you want to know where the text don't hold up? Go watch some old Doctor Who's. Oh my God, man, that shit is. It's like watching comedy. There's some actually good acting in some of them, but some of it's just unbelievable comedy. Well, I've been watching it because a friend of mine's got me looking for. So the new Doctor Who is one way, and the old Doctor Who is another way. First off, Gallifrey was in all kind of episodes all the way up until Doctor Who was off the air. It hadn't been destroyed. It got destroyed in between the two Doctor Who's, the new old Doctor Who's and a new one. When John Hurt, they said, went back and killed everybody. So, but there were rules that applied and things that couldn't happen in the old Doctor Who that the new Doctor Who thinks that they can do. So I've been thinking about this. It depends on how devout these fans are. Like for Tom Baker, he's still got a huge following, even though I think he's dead now. He's a Doctor number 4. He was 7 years of Doctor. And remember, he wasn't just 8 or 9 episodes. He did 50 episodes a year. So it's a little bit different. And they did episodes like there would be 4 parts strung together. So there was much more involved Doctor Who in there. So I don't know, but you know what? There was quite a bit of wokeness back then. You'd be surprised, Sean, you start watching them. I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, no way, man. I'm seeing things.
Yeah, I mean, the original Star Trek, there was plenty of that too there, but it was balanced by Captain Kirk, right?
Yes, the pig.
So you had plenty of. Yeah, but like, I mean, he was doing stuff that would get you canceled today, right? As part of the show.
Yeah, so that's one of the things I like about what was it? So if you watch Big Bang is not a woke show, people. Big Bang picks on everything. They're kind of like what's the cartoon that's always picking on everybody and
South
everything?
Park.
Yeah, I mean they're just unbelievable in how they get and what they get away with. I don't know why some things can get away with it and some can't. Oh no, the NFL can't get away with wokeness. Oh no, because NFL people who watch NFL
is woke. It's gone.
It's pretty much Well, it looks like college is going to put them out of business now. It's now they're going to start paying the college guys and they're going to extend it.
Look, I'm a former Army officer. After Kaepernick, I just stopped watching NFL entirely.
Pretty much, I did too. That was pretty much the end of it for me. I figured if you're going to let this go on, I don't want to watch it anymore.
But look, they have every right. They have every right to speak out. No problem with that. But like,
don't do it on the air.
Yeah, it's your brand. So if that's your brand,
if I'd have been there at $250 or $400 a seat, I would have asked for my money back. I'd have been like, no, I did not come here to see this. I want to see football. If I want to see somebody take a knee or be woke, I'll just turn on CNN.
Right.
And I think that's where a lot of these people made their mistakes. They didn't realize it fast enough that, oh no, there are places for this and people do not want to see this in their entertainment. And it hurt a lot of companies. It cost Disney a lot of money. It cost them, they had to fire.
It still costs them money.
Yeah.
And they're doubling down. They're doubling down on it.
And I don't understand it because they brought the guy back to quit doing it because it all started because that woman, one son was gay and one son was a transvestite. And that's when she decided everybody at Disney was going to be gay, that worked at Disney World. And the country was like, excuse me, wait a minute. Do you know how many Americans were not going back to Disney World after that? I mean, come on. Well, no, Joe, we don't care if you're gay or not, but everybody at Disney World is going to be gay. I don't know. Parents with kids are funny. It doesn't matter if they're right or wrong. It's their option if they don't want their kids to be exposed to gay people. It's their rights. As a parent, there's no law that says they have to put their kids around it. I don't know. I don't make the rules, and I don't care if you're gay or not. I got gay family members. I could give a good shit. One of my gay family members is a freaking billionaire.
Well, it's just like anything else. When you hire like one demographic group at the exclusion of all others, for no other reason than the fact that they're in a demographic group, that's anti-meritocratic. And any sort of scheme that does that is anathema. It's wrong, right? Like the color again, it could be the color of your skin, could be political beliefs, whatever. But what should matter is the content of your character. Are you a good worker or not? That's all that should matter.
That's all that should
And
matter.
we've gotten away from that, and as a result, you're seeing walls fall off of Boeing planes. You're seeing Secretary of Defense who's asleep at the wheel for 3 days. Like you're seeing like this broad, systematic, institutional failure.
You're seeing too many jobs being doled out because of sex or color. So,
Right.
so guys, if I was to say, I'm going to hire my next boss, and it has to be black and it has to be a woman, I get sued by all kind of people.
That's what
Okay?
Harvard did for their last president.
Yeah, and of course, and he ended up turning out to
Right.
be, whatever it was,
He-
ended up turning
yeah.
out to be a piece of crap. And then, of course, that's what President Joe Biden did. He said, "Oh, I'm going to hire a black woman for vice president." Oh, let's not hire the best person for vice president. No. We didn't want to do that. We wanted to hire some idiot that didn't know what she was doing. Look, I still can't even believe that she was attorney general in California. I mean, she's an idiot.
Yeah.
No wonder
Yeah.
so many people out there got out of jail. I mean, Lord, the girl's an idiot, and I don't even want to hate on her because I kind of feel sorry for her.
I don't feel sorry. You put yourself in that position, you deserve.
Yeah,
all the
that's true
scorn.
too. You do, and
Yeah.
well, she still got a chance of being president. I mean, something happens
Yeah.
for Biden.
I mean, look,
to-
if you're not qualified and you know you're not qualified and you still accept the position, you deserve as much scorn as they can throw at you.
so, but there needs to be new rules because I had asked an attorney about that. I said, "Well, can I sue them?" He said, "For what?" I said, "Because they hired someone based on sex and color. They didn't hire the best person for the job." I
Right.
said, "The best person might have been an old white man." I said, "But no, we're not going to hire a white man because that's what? Racist? No, it's not. It's hiring the best person for the job." I said, they did that because they needed black votes because the blacks were leaving and going to Trump.
Well, I feel sorry for like non-white competent people, to be honest with you, because everywhere they go, every job they have, there's going to be that question in everybody's mind: Are they qualified, or are they just here because of? That's who it really hurts.
It
Right?
does. And that was a lot of things too, because when that girl first sued Texas in Austin because she got overlooked because they had to assign a witchmile to a black guy because they had to meet their quota, and she got pissed, and so she sued. She said, "Well, wait a minute, she said, my score is twice as high as his. I've worked my ass off to get here, and he's going to get the scholarship because he's black, and I'm not going to get the scholarship because I'm white." She said, "That's racism."
They're doing the same thing. They were doing the same thing with air traffic controllers in Chicago, right? So how you scored on it? There's a white guy who didn't get the job, but he had like a perfect score on this test. But they asked, like, they designed these lifestyle questions. Like they'd ask, like, how many relatives do you have who are in prison? What kind of sports did you play in college? Like, they would ask questions that would that certain demographics were more likely to answer yes, and then they would get more points. So as a result, you have people who are, barely passing this test, and they're controlling whether or not airlines land. And then you have people who got perfect scores, but because they coded for a demographic that was not favored in this selection process, the best people aren't getting the job.
Yeah, it's been going on for a while now too. We're in a bad shape with that. I keep seeing too
That's
many
all right.
people
I mean,
getting hybrid.
Yeah, we're going to have a few airlines, a few airplanes fall to the sky. That's what it's going to take. And they're still not going to come clean on it, right? So it's going to be ugly for a while. People are going to die for this stupidity.
Well, I've seen in some places they've been trying to change because I think they're taking affirmative action away from colleges.
Well, the Supreme Court, there was that Harvard case where particularly Asians that were getting disproportionately rejected, right? And their scores were, an insane level above everybody else. And so they can't do that anymore. But what they're doing now is they're finding other ways to circumvent those rules, right? They're putting more weighting on,
The thing that was passed in Congress 2 years ago, which I think goes in effect this coming year, removes it from colleges altogether. They're saying that it's just an unfair practice, and the problem is now is just other demographics in our country. So you have Hispanics. Well, they're being looked over for blacks. You have Asians that are being looked over for blacks. You've got so And I understand black people need to get their rights, and I understand that they were downtrodden and they want to get their 10 cents too. But you can't help one race by discriminating against another.
Right.
You're just creating the same problem over again. So you have to figure out how to level the playing field.
And you're also creating resentment that
you are
what didn't need to be there. That's why you're seeing people are all freaking out about the rise of.
And I've been surprised lately how Hispanics are really starting to hate on blacks more and more.
Yeah,
and I'm seeing that with Asians too. And I can understand because really affirmative action is really designed for blacks. It's not really designed for the rest of the country. And then there's another problem. I think in 2036, whites follow 48% of the population, which puts us below the 50%, which makes us a what? So we're going to get affirmative action?
Nope. Well, I mean, again, do Asians get affirmative action?
They don't. No. It's rare that you see them get any of it. They don't get on college. And a friend of mine a couple weeks ago, he said, well, Asians get high enough scores to get in with scholarships. I said, not all the time. And I said, some people can't afford to pay. I said, when they get loans and stuff, I said, and said the government only gives out X amount of scholarships either. I said, I bet you they give more to blacks than they do to Asians. I said, I'd bet money on it. He said, well, that's discrimination. I said, of course it's discrimination, but the government don't care. They want to look good. So they figure, give it to black, give it back, it'll look good, higher, more and more and more and more. But what America forgets, and this tends to be for all races. So when you have, say, a white manager, a lot of times they'll hire mostly white employees. Same thing with black managers, Asian managers, Hispanic managers. Right. So when you start doing that, you start creating problems where you see all these stores are just one color. Well, that's not what this program's designed to do. We're supposed to be teaching people not to be racist. But when you stop and only hire one color, you're a racist.
Mm-hmm.
And that's got to change. But we're one day, I don't know. I won't see it, but
we almost got there, and then I would say in the last 5 years we reversed it entirely.
Oh yeah, because we decided that the Democrats actually decided that we're going to be this new woke crazy society that nobody wants to be, and that's the other thing that kills me. When you poll the country, they're like, no, we don't really care about that. Even the Z-Genists, that's who they blame, by the way, as the Z-Genists is what causes this wokeness. They're not interested in this shit. Right. They're like, what are you talking about? No, we want to have fun, enjoy our lives. We don't really give a shit what you stupid adults are doing. Leave us alone.
Well, it's like the whole like white liberals making up Latinx, right?
Oh,
and like Hispanics are like, what the hell's that?
I know.
Like, I don't want to be called that. It's ridiculous, right? And they just kept pushing it.
What's that? Oh, you mean Columbus is evil? I still don't know what the Columbus shit's about. Technically, he didn't find this America. He found the Americas. No, because what's his name? Leif Erikson found this America first. No, well, yeah, he colonized it too. He was here for. They said the Vikings lived here for quite some time, and then he left, and then Columbus found it 200 years or 500 years later.
No.
So yeah, it was a while longer. Mm-hmm. Well, it's no, that wasn't Columbus. That was who took all the Mayans and gold. Cortez.
No, Cortez.
Yeah, that was Cortez. It was somebody else. Yes, the New World was like unbelievable for the Europeans. They were like, "What the hell did we find?" Think about it. Europe itself is several thousand years old. It's depleted. I mean, it's pretty much just.
Well, and Columbus thought he found like the eastern part of India.
Mm-hmm.
When he landed, he was like, "Oh yeah, I found another route to India," which is why Native Americans were called Indians.
Well, no, Jimmy, that's just the way it worked out. Oh no, we screwed the Native Americans. We're still out of all the races in this country, they get screwed over the most. But it is partially their fault. I hate to say that, and it's kind of cruel. But you have to remember, the Indian nations are sovereign nations. They're not actually part of the United States. They're a sovereign nation, yes. So it would be like telling China what they got to do. I didn't make the rules. And the reservation thing to me was stupid. But we didn't want to kill off 100 million Indians, so we gave them reservations instead. That's exactly what we did. It didn't matter. We gave them cholera. We gave them chicken pox. We gave them smallpox. We killed Indians by the millions.
Yeah, it was the pathogens that wiped most of them out.
Yeah, we didn't have to kill them with guns. We were killing them all over the place. We were wrong, and the sad part is, if the Indians would have became one nation, no way Europe could have took this place. No, the Indians knew all. They knew how to hide. They knew how to fight. They would have killed us, and eventually they just started getting guns and cannons and shit. They would have never got America. Hell, the Mesoamericans might have got involved. There's a lot of people living on this continent back in the day. Nobody knew it though. I don't know, and I don't have as much Native blood in America in me that I was told I had. It's interesting when you have your DNA. You know, families don't always have a accurate accounting of where all your DNA comes from. I'm mostly Welsh, Irish, Scottish, British, and Italian. That makes up about 80% of my heritage. Yeah.
Do you have any of that unknown?
I did, but it switched over to Mediterranean. Just general though, Mediterranean, not like Greek or Roman or Albanian or something. It just says Mediterranean, whatever the hell that means.
Apparently, there's someone at DoD that follows that issue.
Yeah, maybe they fixed it.
Where they can't. Yeah, maybe they coded it something else to.
Because I know when I first did it, I had 3% or 3% unknown. And then it stayed like that for a long time, even though the other numbers were changing. Like the amount of Italian blood I had went up, and the amount of Irish, Italian, English blood also went up. But this stayed like that. And then just recently, it could have been more than 6 months ago, it just switched from 3% unknown to 3% Mediterranean. Whatever the hell that means. People, the Mediterranean's got the Greeks, the Italians, they got all kind of shit tied up in the Mediterranean. The Turks. It could be anybody's blood. They don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I knew because I had green eyes that there was definitely some Irish, Scottish, Welsh blood. And there's no doubt about that, because that's where green eyes pretty much dominated out of. But I also knew my last name is Montaldo, and our family's part of my family was from Sicily, and part of my family was from northern Italy. Even though the bitches always said they were Spanish for some reason. Because some of our family moved to Argentina, and down there they all speak Spanish. Yeah. I don't know. They might have been hooked up with the Nazis as far as I know. I don't know why they moved. They moved from Italy to Spain to Argentina is what they did. I don't. And the first relative I know for sure that came over ported in New Orleans in 1680. But they weren't a direct relative. My direct relative came in from New York. No, not from the island. They came in a different way. Well, because the name back then was not all that big of a name, and today it's like 5 names tied into one. It's Montalbano, Montevino. Yeah, it's all the same name. And the reason I found that out is it's the same family crest. Yeah. Well, is part of the family is royalty. Part of the family is probably mafia. It's the only way I can actually say it. No, I'm pretty sure that's the way it was. Yes, I'm pretty sure that's the way it was. Well, I know we had mafia family over here for sure. So, yeah. Well, Carlos Marcello was a friend of the family. And him and my dad were pretty close. So there's some kind of ties going on there. And when I was growing up, Joe Marcella and Vincent Marcella used to keep an eye on me. Matter of fact, when I became a young man in my 20s, every now and then one of them would just show up somewhere where I worked or where I was playing darts. I was playing darts for a living. And every one of them, matter of fact, one of the places we played in, Vincent had Tony the Tiger buy the bar where we played so he could sponsor our team. I was asked, I was never going to join. That's not my lifestyle. Nope. Had never even had a curiosity. No. Could have, never had a curiosity. Because somewhere along the line, to be a made man, you got to kill somebody. And one of the reasons I got out of the Special Forces in the Navy is because I don't want to kill anybody. Oh, don't get me wrong. You try to hurt my family, I will kill you. I will snap your neck in about 8 seconds, but less than that, really. But both careers would have somewhere along the line would have led me to have to kill somebody. If I'd have stayed in special forces, I'd have ended up in Iraq and I ended up killing some people. That's just the way it is. Well, you know, if I mean, look, if you have to, if you're at war, you have to kill somebody. You have to do it. But if you don't have to, then why do it? And there were guys out there just as good a shot as I was when I was in the service. So I got all three, marksmen, snipers, and I got all three of my badges. Earned them first shot out. Yeah. I grew up in the bayou, people. Everybody down here can shoot. It's not even a thing. No, nobody down here even thinks it's a thing. If you can't go out there with your 30-30 at 100 yards and shoot through the thing 20 for 20, your friends are going to rim you for the next 6 months. At a 30-yard 6, I was accurate at 500 yards, 20 for 20. With an M16, I was accurate at 500 yards with 20 rounds, 20 for 20. Right through the center every time. Because you get used to the gun. And the M14, which most of y'all probably don't even know what it is, was an easier gun to shoot. It was a smoother rhythm. So when you would pop, 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 the gun didn't move much. Once you were set, you just, it really didn't move any. So as long as you didn't wiggle, you were pretty much guaranteed to go through the same place. M16 was a little bit harder to shoot. 9mm. The 9mm, when these real 9mm, they were converted to 22s. Yeah, so the pistol like this one, it looked not much different than this one, was converted to a 22. So this big cannon had 22 rounds in it. The hell, man? Anybody can shoot that. A damn dog can shoot that, man. Come on. I mean, what the hell was that? I never did understand that because there's no kick to them. It's just you're like, it's like a pop gun. But we got to go, guys. We went way over. Sean then fell asleep. I'm looking for food. The other Sean is asleep. Well, he's got to go to work in the morning. Well, he does butcher work. I keep trying to get him to send me some good steaks, man. But they're cheaper down here, so yeah. No, he's a good butcher. Who, Sean? He's an author now. He was one of them guys that used to blow shit up. Because y'all always tell me who anybody in service blew shit up. I can honestly say the whole time I was in the service, I didn't blow anything up. I watched a lot of shit get blown up, mind you, but I personally didn't blow anything up. I worked on all kinds of the bombing derbies are great, but we gotta go. So I want to thank everyone again for tuning in to United Public Radio. I hope y'all enjoyed the show immensely. Any moans, groans, bitches, gripes, or complaints, please write to Michelle DeRoche. Attention, Michelle DeRoche. I love you, Michelle DeRoche, and that's how you do that. You don't want to send criticism to me because I might be rude. So send it to Michelle. On that note, good night, everybody, and stay tuned for Spaced Out Radio with the Madman Scott, Dave Scott.
Good night.